Buttons being pressed. Let's make sure that this is public. Okay. So the light.
You don't want another unlisted one, do you?
Not another unlisted video. All right. So it's looking like we are live on the tube of you. Let's see if we're going to go live on Bookface here real quick.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to CoCo Talk After Dark.
All right, so we're on Bookface right now, so I'm going to share this out on a few groups real quick.
All right, and while you're at it, go ahead and issue the apology now.
Yes.
I'm sorry, everyone. I tend to go overboard, but I enjoy it.
Yes. Now, how do we do share now? Public. That's been shared to my timeline. That's not exactly what I meant to do, but that's okay. I need to share it onto a group now. Share to a group. All right, let's do the TRS-80 group. All right. Let's do the I'm a Coconut group and the Glen, and then we'll do the MC10 group too.
What's Ken's new game called again?
Nightmare Highway.
Now, you need to mention that there's a 20% offer for Nightmare Highway. No coupon code required.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Nightmare Highway.
20% off regular price.
Yeah, and we have David Ladd's wonderful voiceover here.
Why, thank you, Stevie.
I'm getting a little bit of the fan sound, like a little fan choppy sound. Is that just me hearing that, or anybody else?
That was just on David Ladd, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I just heard it on David.
Yeah.
David's on a helicopter.
No, I have no fan, but I'm on Bluetooth.
Okay.
Because the laptop is the laptop is not feeling well still.
Uh-huh.
It's got a case of Microsoft.
That reminds me of that old WKRP in Cincinnati show where Les Neffsman was like in the traffic. He was in the traffic copter, but there was no traffic copter, so he was just hitting himself in the chest.
All right. Well, we're live. I'm going to go ahead and cue the intro, and then we're going to jump into our community coding, whatever the hell. Why is this one? This one's called CoCo Capture. Okay, that's fine. All right, we're going to jump into the intro, and then we're gonna get this show on the road here. CoCo Talk is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCo Talk show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCo Talk.
This is CoCo Talk, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks and grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world.
All right, twice in one day. Should this even be legal? Should this happen? Well, history will have to tell that tale. But we're here. We're back with another episode of CoCo Talk. We're after dark. We're going to do some coding. We're going to do some chit-chat, some gaming. Who knows?
CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world.
All right, we're here. Welcome, everybody. It's CoCo Talk, community coding, community chit-chat, spontaneous Spontaneous gaming. This is it's all related to the color computer, but it's all very informal. Hopefully going to have some fun tonight. We talked about this on the main show today. We're going to get together tonight, do some more community coding, possibly work on some software projects on our CoCos. We will do some CoCo chit chats. We've got a brand new game from legendary game designer Ken Reichard is here. So we're going to be showing off that product. We've got a handful of us here on the call right now. Hopefully a few more will join us as the evening progresses. So let's say hi to who is in the panel right now. We've got Mark Bosley in the house. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Pretty good.
All right, we have driving somewhere lost and found. It's Jason Reichard in hot pursuit. How you doing, Jason?
Hey, use only as directed.
Yes. We also have a celebrity sibling with us. The brother of Jason Reichard, Ken Reichard, is in the house. Hey, Ken Reichard. You're muted, Ken.
Which one's Ken? Which one's Jason?
Ken Reichard, welcome. Yes, Ken.
Spacebar stopped working for me.
Ah, all right. Welcome to the program, Ken Reichard, legendary game designer. We'll be looking at we'll be celebrating the life and times of Ken Reichard this evening, and there's many programs and products over the years, going back to the Rainbow magazine.
Wasn't 30 seconds.
The guy who's taken live streaming to literal depths. It's Grant Leakey, everybody. Hey, Grant.
Hello, how's everybody doing this evening?
Hey, Grant.
We're doing great. Just stepping out from his court appearance right now. Will the defendant please rise? It's David Ladd. Hey, David.
Hello, Stevie, and hopefully, everyone, you will enjoy tonight's show.
Hopefully.
We've got a spooky electricer event.
There goes the viewership.
Then we have a literal Australian in the house, a guy from down under, the guy who likes to say,
"Oh, crikey!"
Nick Morentes is in the house.
You call that a crikey? This is crikey.
Nick Morentes is in the house. So, one of the news items that we talked about today was a brand new game released by Ken Reichard and inspired by true events, inspired by what happened this year at CoCo Fest 2019. One of the attendees of the show was on his way to CoCo Fest, and on his way out of nowhere, a love seat jumped out in the middle of the road and just smashed right into him, and he totaled his car. We're talking about Terry Steen, the author of Balloon Fire and Gray Lady and so many other legendary titles. And Terry, as a trooper, he just said, screw it, just got out of his car, left it there on the side of the road, and just walked the rest of the way to CoCo Fest and didn't look back. And he was there the whole weekend. And so that inspired legendary game designer Ken Reichard to create this game. I think we've got a very professionally produced commercial for this right now. I'm going to see if I can find the commercial. We're going to go ahead and run that commercial right now, and then we'll get into it, and hopefully we'll hear some feedback from the author too. Like, what is it like? Get inside the mind of a game designer. What is it like to just create these platinum hits? We're going to find out after these words.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
Right!
This Christmas, Tandy has a very special offer. A family color computer pack to take away at a very special price. This family computer comes complete with software and costs an incredible $449, a saving of $241.69. It's powerful, educational, and ideal for the young and young at heart. The easy way to start computing. The Color Computer Family Pack from Tandy. Get it while it's hot. Tandy, the biggest electronic store in Australia.
As you start your journey to CoCo Fest, you notice the road ahead is littered with rogue furniture. You realize you are driving on the Nightmare Highway. The new game for the Tandy Color Computer 1, 2, and 3. Nightmare Highway. Stunning low-resolution visuals. Digital to analog converted sound.
100% machine language and basic. What are they saying about Nightmare Highway? Nightmare Highway. Steve B. York says, of all the games released this year, this is one of them. L. Kurt S. Boyle says, this will not be on my site. Nick Marionette says, crikey, look at the size of that croc. Get your complimentary copy of Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway. At cancanmakeit.com. If you got it for free, you paid too much.
All right, so there we have it. There is the commercial for Nightmare Highway. All right, so I figured since I've got my color computer, my color computer, hooked up right now, I'm going to stretch it out here, is what she said. Make this thing a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm going to come down here to a disk folder that I've created on my SD card that we're going to call Ken. And here we've got just an incredible catalog of Ken Reichert games. So it would be called Highway Bass, right? Or actually Highway Disc and then Highway Bass, right?
That's correct.
All right, so we're going to run Highway Bass. There's fireworks going on right there. All right, so we got CoCo 3 RGB. Oh, look at this. Look at you and your fancy things. What do I do here to make it remember?
Enter.
So how do I select? Up and down arrows, highlight option, enter to make selection. How do I click remember this?
You hit enter.
Hit enter. That's just it. Okay, one moment.
Ease of use.
Can you guys hear this? Ooh, look at this. Nightmare Highway by Ken Reichert. Famous drivers. R. Mears, A.J. Foyt, A. Unser, M. Andretti. All right, so let's look at the info here. All right, you're on your way to CoCo Fest, but all you can see on the highway is a wasteland of love seats, sofas, and lounges. What in the name of Terry Steen is going on here? Dodge the furniture, collect the green fuel cans, and get to the CoCo Fest on time. Use the left and right arrow keys to steer. Use Q to shift up and Z to shift down. The faster you go, the better your score. Press a key. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit play.
Let's hope Jason doesn't give us a live demo.
Oh, yeah, look how fast that's going. This is really fast, Ken. Ouch, I just crashed. Okay, so that's showing me how many lives do you have?
You have infinite lives until you run out of fuel or time or get to the CoCo.
Okay. Ouch. I like the fuel gauge. So as long as you don't run out of fuel, you're okay? Or is there time, too?
There is both.
Okay, I see that. That's the 110, the 111? Man, this is tough, Ken. I do like the stunning low-resolution visuals, though.
Tier 3 is probably your best with speed and
Okay.
manageability.
Ouch. I got 74 minutes of time left, huh? Ouch. Man, those freaking fireworks won't stop, will they? You guys hear those mortars out there?
Yeah, we hear something.
Oh, the game's pretty loud.
Sorry,
So.
I was muted.
I thought I was used bumping into your desk.
Out of fuel. Damn it. I died.
Sorry, Steve, you didn't make it to CoCo Fair.
I didn't.
You need a beaded seat cover.
Yeah. I gotta say, I like the keyboard response is pretty good. It's pretty fast. It's surprising.
So what exactly is it written in?
You're muted,
Okay.
Ken.
The bulk of the game.
Oh, he's a little low.
Your volume's a little low now, Ken.
Okay, the bulk of the game is written in assembly language. The whole of the looping around there, and basics just use kind of to manage the score, the high scores, and just those kind of things. The title screen
Right.
and all that. So most of
Okay.
it is in machine language. And
Right.
it just calls machine language routine and returns when your round's over, and returns a status, so it knows what happened.
So during the game, it's mainly machine language, and then just jumps back to basic. Yeah.
Yes. And
Cool.
am my levels better now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your levels are better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Wow, Stevie, get your fireworks under control over there, buddy.
I know, man. I know. All right. So let me. I'm gonna try it again. Oh shit! What did I just move here?
It was written with the hope that Stevie could get through round one.
But there's only one round, right?
Oh, better luck next time.
Well, I added the manage the fuel later. Before it was just dodge the sofas, and I just needed something else. So because something to make you swerve around to gather fuel. So there you got to manage your fuel and manage your time, and just made it a little more challenging.
Cool.
Good.
Let me try it again. Press any key to continue. P to play.
I'd buy that for $1.
Son of a bitch. How many gears are there? There's 3 gears?
3.
4.
4.
I like the explosion effect too. That way it kind of like explodes and then implodes back. I mean, I think there's definitely a resurgence of semi-graphic stuff right now, low-res stuff coming out. I mean, when you looked at what Erico is doing and Matchy and what Ken's done, and I mean, Jim Gary's got, what, 1,000 titles that he's done already? So,
Waterfall?
Oh, I was just talking about the good ones.
This is my first completed assembly project, so I just kept it simple using the...
Yeah, and that was kind of my plan too, as I was learning assembly to do my cosmic aliens in text. Which, by the way, I've got some stuff from David Lord to look at that he's done. David's done more in my game now than I've done on it, so I can't wait to see what he's done, because I haven't done anything.
And the timing and stuff uses some routines that I got off a Glenn Hewlett's site.
Okay.
And, of course, the sound routines are straight out of Bill Barden's book.
Okay. Now, what did you use? What development environment did you use?
I used the stuff from Long Branch Never, which is, what's his name?
Paul Fiscarelli.
Paul Fiscarelli's.
Polly
And
Walnuts.
just using Notepad++, a script for LW ASM, and mostly VCC, bugger, and then I go into MAME.
Now, you've got real hardware too, right?
Yes, but I developed this on my laptop. I'm not hardcore like Nick.
What was that? Stupid.
Crikey.
I didn't say that.
Well, the subtitle said that.
Oh, no. I didn't do things.
So that's your
Although I have
first
to lead over
assembler
to get to my
project?
notes here.
We have a
Hey, we have a Rick Adams sighting.
yeah, we have a Rick Adams sighting. He just asked you a question.
So that's your first assembler project?
The first one I ever completed. I've done a few times trying to recreate the game I did for Rainbow Air Raid, which was just using the print missiles up. You had to go across the screen. But this is the first one I've sat down and completed.
It's really
It's
nice.
really good. The graphics, the layout, the colors are well chosen, and the presentation overall is quite good. You got a high score table, you got a title screen. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. This is fully realized.
really great for a first project or even a third project because it's just so darn accessible.
Yeah, and there's not as much. It's easier to move memory around. There's not as much of it, so you can probably get away with a multitude of sins. With the zip file of this includes all the source code, so you can peruse it and laugh or whatever you want to do with it.
No, that's good. That's really good.
I like it.
Yeah, I do.
I tried to note in the places where I blatantly stole it, such as for Bill Barden and Glenn. So
yeah, no, that's really cool.
I was really happy because I originally started doing this, and of course, you start going fast enough, it just flickers like crazy. And I said, well, there's got to be a way around this. And of course, it's to capture the VSync and only update the screen on the VSync. So that's where I got the stuff from Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it look real nice. And then I could just have the timer run is used from the VSync, and it keeps running no matter whether you've crashed or not. So I was happy with it.
Yeah, no.
I wish I would have learned this, 20 years ago when I was a kid. This would have been fun. But
absolutely,
have a TASM at the time.
Yeah,
you already got stuff for you. What do you need another thing for?
No, that's really good.
Yeah, with semi-graphics, you shouldn't need to do double buffering with semi-graphics.
Not unless you're doing some really crazy stuff with sprites or something,
What I did is I have a bit in memory that just holds the scrolling region, and I have 16 lines of that. And then what I did is I just kind of go round robin through them, and just so I only have to update that part of memory at a time. It's probably overkill for moving the semi-graphics around because there's only 2K on the screen at once anyway. And then I just
good to know.
Every VSync, I then put it all onto the visible screen, and then I drew the car over it, which is just poking into the various bytes, and that way the car looked at things passed under it.
So you actually painted in the entire background, and then you put the car on last, so it's always on the foreground.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say, and you said it much better.
Okay. Okay. Mad Cat XII is asking, has anyone used the Phoenix IDE or the Rainbow IDE for development? Just wondering how well it works.
I've done a little bit of both. In some cases, it seems like overkill, but I've only really used the free trial versions of it. I haven't actually purchased it. And after seeing some of the stuff in Notepad++ with that, I found that to be just as good.
Yeah.
Although those IDEs are very nice, but the Notepad++ has been suitable for my needs.
Yeah, I also like what Ron Klein is doing with the Atom editor, where you can launch the emulator from the menu within the editor, so you don't even have to leave the editor. So he's just got a whole pull-down menu that launches scripts, where it makes the disk image and launches that in your emulator of choice. Ease of use, if you will. Bruce Moore says he has used the Phoenix IDE. I used it for a little tiny bit there, but I think, again, I'm not qualified to say too much about it because I didn't spend that much time on it, and I don't have a history of using IDEs. I would imagine if you're a person who does real programming for a living, it would have made more sense to you, but to me, have never using one before, I found it to be a bit overwhelming. I also found it to be seemingly more geared towards assembly, and I wanted to use it to do a project in BASIC, and it wasn't as ideal for BASIC because whatever it pushed out was not tokenized. So every single time I opened it up, I had to wait what felt like an eternity from the time I loaded the program to the time I could actually run it. And so for me, with my limited patience and experience and understanding, it was a pain in the ass. So it didn't work for me. What I ended up using was a tool that John Strong has given me, and there are many good things about it, but there are a few things about it that I'm not crazy about either. But for having a really good editor, it works great. I'm thinking about going back to something what Paul Fiscarelli did with Long Branch Never, or what Ron Klein's doing. I think the major benefit that I have with the John Strong tool that I have is that I have direct access to the disk. So if I want to edit something while I'm still in BASIC in the emulator, I can do it. and then as soon as I hit save, it's saved to that disk image. Most of these other development environments, the disk image you're working on is kind of read only, and when you exit out of the emulator, it doesn't save it back to the thing. And I don't, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you guys have a development environment where if you could, you guys, like Rick Adams, you're doing something, but you're not doing it in BASIC anyways, right? So you wouldn't be tweaking your source code back on the CoCo, right?
Right. I'm actually running a Linux system, and I'm using the VI text editor to edit stuff, and then I would assemble it on the Linux system, and then the binary just gets sent over with DriveWire.
Yeah.
He uses VI. I should have guessed. That's hardcore. No, actually, Ed would be hardcore.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not good enough for Ed. No.
Yeah. So what I like with the John Strong tool is that while I'm in the emulator, because BASIC you're always in your source code. Essentially, you're not making it or compiling or anything. If I need to make a change on the fly, I can. And if I want to use the renum command in BASIC, which is very powerful, right? What you need to do from time to time with line numbers, I can do the renum and reorganize chunks of my code into new numerical sequences, and then that makes its way back to the full screen editor. So if I was doing something like Notepad++ and I had to free type all my stuff, and then I wanted to change line numbers, I'd have to manually do that and remember where I did it. So anyways, there's not a perfect solution. So what's Paul Fiscarelli saying? He says, I've got an update to share with you, Stevie, and it allows you to run BAS files directly in VCC without the need to sit through loading the script in MAME. Okay, that's good. And for basic, VCC is probably fine, at least for the basic stuff I'm doing. No, that's cool. No, good game, Ken. Good job. How long did you work on it?
Oh, a couple months.
Okay.
Another thing, one thing I don't like, and this is a nitpick about Rainbow and Phoenix IDE, is it hides your projects in the application data folder. So you have to go hunt for them, and for a while I couldn't. Where the heck is it keeping this?
That's a very Microsoft centric way of doing things.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked what Long Branch Never had set up. It was pretty easy to work with. I'd like to get to the point, Rick, and I know when I get there, I'm going to probably start picking your brain, but I'd like to be able to do the Raspberry Pi thing that you do, where you can type up your assembler code. When I start assembling, I'm not there yet, but when I get to the point where I start assembling, I think that would be the greatest thing, to have that serial cable from your Pi to your CoCo. Type your source code, press a button, run it on your CoCo. If you need to make a change, send it back. To me, that sounds like the best possible way to do it,
Did you see me doing that at Rainbow Fest?
I sort of. I mean, I knew you were doing it. I didn't sit there and watch all the magic, but
yeah, you should watch it, because it's just like, it is magic to see. It's just instantaneous.
Yeah.
So I edit it and I type make, and the Linux system just builds it and sends it over and mounts the disk and all that sort of stuff. And then I just turn about 15 degrees to my right, and I start and then I can run it from real hardware.
Yeah, that's cool.
The only thing is, you'd have to figure out, the hard part would be the editor. I could teach you how to use VI if you wanted to, poke your eyes out with a fork. But see, the thing about VI is that it's a very old editor, and it has a lot of. It's very powerful, but it's very opaque, and it is user friendly. It's just very picky about who its friends are.
Yeah,
and so for all the youngsters, I would say, learn one of these other more modern editors. But for me, I cut my teeth with VI, and I just think in it, and it's just automatically in my muscle memory, and I know how to do everything, and I'm familiar with it.
Well,
I'm cool. So
yeah,
but I wouldn't say, you got to use VI. It's the greatest thing.
Right.
Masquerading as a full screen editor.
I never did a lot of never did run much Linux or Unix at all. But I I do remember DOS, and I remember Edlin and DOS. So is it similar to that, or is it? Yeah.
Oh no, it's not a line by line editor. It pretends to be a full screen editor, but
Okay.
it's just that the commands are very complicated.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have to show you sometime, but
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, you say, well, here's how you go up, down, left, and right, and here's how you insert, and here's how you delete, and and it's like, oh, that's not so bad. And it's like, well, how do you do this? Oh, well, you do this, and the other thing, and then you could do that, and so learning VI is sort of you do it in stages.
Yeah.
You learn the super duper basic stuff, but you have to memorize it all because it's all like single characters will do specific things, and some things make sense. I for insert, X for delete. So, and then you get to the crazy things like, J is to move the cursor down. Well, why is that? Well, just because it is. And K is to move it up. And so some of the key mappings make sense, and some of them don't.
Okay.
And if I don't stop myself, I'll go into a VI tutorial right now, and that's probably not what we want at this point.
Fair enough.
We can do that some night if we want.
Yes. All right. Well, we looked at Ken. Should I pull up a few more of your gems? Anything you recommend off of your rainbow disc, Ken?
We can go with the interplanetary trash collector, and if we're not trying to squeeze under OS 9, it might run.
All right, so let's go to the Ken disc again. And so these are all games that you submitted to the Rainbow magazine. Now, did they all appear in the Rainbow magazine, or were they just submitted?
Okay, 4 of them appeared in Rainbow: Air Raid, Interplanetary Trash Collector, Minefield, and Darn It.
Okay, so the first 4 on the list.
And then Skydiver or Sky Jumper appeared in the World of 68 Micros, if you remember that one. And then that last one was just something I found on an old disc image that Jason had found, and I just put it on there as a bonus. Well,
okay,
bonus-ish.
All right, so you want me to go ahead and run the trash?
Sure.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, another one of the hits from Ken Reichert. All right. And this is the one that, bless his heart, Rob Inman was trying to get this thing going. Rob Inman was trying to get this thing going on the RSB or whatever the hell it was called and get it going in OS 9. All right.
Yeah, just start with level 1. You just have to gather one thing of trash.
Okay.
And then it keeps going.
All right. I'm trying to type on my real computer keyboard. I have to switch over here to my color computer keyboard. All right. All right, what do I do?
Arrow keys.
Oh, okay. And do I have to not hit any of those dots on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, and then the trash is what, the big orange square?
Yes.
So it's kind of a Tron breakout type thing. You don't touch any objects, don't touch your own tail?
It's sort of like a single-player Tron Light Cycles / Surround.
Okay, so we're going to do level 1. All right, now that I think I understand what I'm doing, let's try this again. Okay, so is it the red one I have to hit? Son of a bitch, it moves fast. All right. Now that music was done in assembly, right?
No, and I'm trying to figure out why I did that, because that's awful. I didn't make many changes when I put these back out there. They're basically like they appeared in the tabloid.
So those are the stars, and that's the sun.
Sure.
Rage quit in 3, 2.
Oh, I got one. Interplanetary trash collector. Yeah, I'm on a roll. Oh, I just died. Okay. So is this still like a P mode 1 that you just did pallets on?
P mode 3.
P mode 3. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Good job there, Ken. What else do we have on the disc here? So what else do you recommend?
Well, the first thing I published was Air Raid, and that's just where you just try to fly your plane across the top of the screen as missiles fly up at you, and it's just using that old print thing.
And you've also got one that's called Raid C3. Is that a CoCo 3 version?
Yes.
Yeah, so I should
But
run
all
that.
that does is set the right high-speed poke in the palette. So
Oh, my keys are not working good. Hello. Monitor R for RGB by Kenneth Reichard Jr.
yeah, back then I wanted to be so formal. I don't understand why.
Oh, so this
Just
is...
try to get all the way to the other side of the screen. And just move. This appeared in Novice's niche, so it's like a 30-line program.
Okay, yeah, and that's actually just doing the scrolling thing.
Yep.
The print scrolling thing. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Cool.
It's very cool. All right. Well, I'm testing your collision detection routines so far, and they seem to be working out pretty well. Play again. Oh, and how do you... Does it make you get lower one line each time?
No.
Is there a way to finish?
No, it just goes on forever. As after so many, it gets. I think after 5, it gets a little harder. More
Okay.
missiles here.
All right, this is...
More missiles.
It's just like
Aren't
life.
there enough already?
Yeah, it's just like life. You die in the end, no matter what.
And what is Darn It?
Darn It is a solitaire card game. Minefield is a Minesweeper clone.
Allow value wraparound. What does that mean?
That lets you go play on a king. You can go back to an ace. The original game didn't let you do that. An ace, you can play a king when you're playing. Yeah, say no to that or say yes to that. Oh boy. Wait for it.
Wait for it. A card puzzle.
More wonderful music.
Hey, that's really good, Ken. Those cards look good.
Okay.
Wow.
Hit H for help.
Okay. Left and right arrow to
Okay, left and
move.
right.
Up and down to play from grid. Down arrow. Up arrow play from grid. Down arrow pick from deck. O key, oops, go back. Q key, quit the game. H key, help off. All right. So I have left and
You gotta
right.
be-
arrow.
Yeah, you got to put down a card that's either one high or one lower. Suit doesn't matter. And the idea is just try to get all those cards out of the grid.
Okay.
So the queen, you need to either play a king or a jack.
Yeah, which I don't
You
have.
don't have one, so you got to pick from the deck.
What's the key for that?
Down.
Down arrow.
Now it's a 7.
Nothing here. Okay, so we can do a 9. How do we select it?
Up arrow.
Up arrow to select. So I can do the 10.
Yep.
Okay, and now this is a 10. I can do this 9. And this is a 9. I can't do an 8.
But you can do the 10.
Oh, yeah. And then that's it. And then what is it now to get to your next card?
Down arrow.
Down arrow.
And this
4.
was a Microsoft Windows game I saw on a computer that at college, and then one summer I just did it as best as I could from memory and recreated it for the CoCo.
No, this is good, man. This is really good. And this made it to the Rainbow magazine too?
Yes. This was also published in the death throes of the Rainbow when it turned into a tabloid newsprint format.
Oh, so now I have the can't place on a king rule here.
Oh, I thought we turned that off. Oh, well.
All right, so I'm kind of screwed here.
So you have to pull from the deck there. That was a rule from the original game that in this last release I let you turn off because it just lowers the fun factor.
Yeah.
I probably got rid of it entirely.
Now, do you run out of moves at some point in time?
Yes, and it will tell you if you have no cards you can play. Obviously, you have to go through the whole deck first, and then if there's no moves left, it will tell you. And you can go use the oops key to go back all the way to the beginning of the game if you want to.
The can't play on a king rule sucks. All right, we're starting. We're starting this over. All right.
I agree.
Allow value wraparound, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. No play on king rule, no. That needs to be no. All right. There we go. All right. Now, this is cool. Now, how old were you when you made this game?
I was in college. It was like 92 or 93, so I was probably was 19 or 20.
It's good, man. Okay. All right, so I got a 6. I can play a 5. I can play the 4. And I can play the 5. Then I can play this. And it's pretty quick, too. I like this better than regular solitaire because you got a little bit more flexibility. All right, nothing else here. Was it down arrow key for a new card?
Mm-hmm.
7.
And the number on the card is the number of cards left in the deck, obviously.
Yeah, this is good, man. 9. Yeah, you can actually try to, if I was really trying, I could try to think ahead and use some strategy here too. Just kind of winging it. No, it's cool. This is well realized.
Is this still level 1?
There really aren't levels to this one. You either win the game or you lose the game.
It's kind of like life.
You're blowing jokes.
Oh, what does ace count on 2? It does. Good. All right.
Yeah, if you hadn't selected the wraparound, it would. You just wouldn't be able to play on. Hey, this looks promising.
Illegal move. That's good too. Do you get arrested for making illegal moves? No move. 7 cards left. Play again. That's good, Ken.
Okay. Yep, and like I said, you could hit oops and go all the way back through the entire game and start over.
Wow, so it stored all that, huh?
Yep.
So do you do real programming now for a living?
Yes.
Both?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of programming do you do now?
Now I'm doing mostly C# programming. I work for a steel processing company, and we have our own ERP that we are writing and maintaining.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing. C#, SQL Server. That's basically what I'm doing. I've been doing various types of programming for various places for a while, and I seem to haven't starved to death yet. So
okay, that's cool. All right, well, I've got something I can show off here that I really can't take any credit for. If I could take any credit for this, it might be that I inspired somebody. But David Lord has been taking my latest version of Cosmic Aliens that I've been working on, and he's been sending me a lot of versions that I haven't even seen yet myself. I've got like a half a dozen emails from him that I have not been able to look at or download or do anything with. So before tonight's show, I just went ahead and took some of his most recent emails. And, wow, that's okay. That's an invalid disk. Okay. So I think this is, and just to give you an idea, I think this was my version in BASIC. All right, so this was, and again, this is me starting my game over from scratch, and building it from the ground up. Curtis Boyle was saying that card game would be a good one to port to OS 9. And I think a couple weeks ago, or the first time we did this spontaneous coding thing, I worked out one of the routines now where I have my gosh, this is really slow on the CoCo, because I had the high speed poke on the CoCo 1 and 2. So I need more speed. Just can't do it, Captain. I don't have the power. I was going to say, man, that was like really, really slow. Okay, so that's a little better, right? And so I got as far as I came up with a little bit of a thing where my laser beams did not erase the things, right? So if I hit fire, there's my arrow. The arrow goes in front of the text. It's non-disruptive, and the stars fall behind the text. So essentially I came up with a real poor man's routine to have 3-layer graphics, right? I've got the background, which is the stars, the text, which is technically the middle, and then the laser, which is the foreground. And that was as far as I got a couple weeks ago when I worked on this. So now he has done something where he ran it through one of these. He's added new stuff that I haven't seen, and then he put it in a basic compiler. So I have not seen this. I'm not sure if this is the latest version, but we're going to take a look right now. Okay. All right, so he's actually got aliens now. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, this has now been compiled. So we've got aliens that are moving. They're like the letter Y. I like this pattern. I probably would not have chose that pattern myself, to be honest with you. We don't have collision detection yet, or maybe we do. Oh, yeah, I even have scoring. You see the score? 10. Now, I don't know if I can die yet. So he's got the letter Y coming down for aliens. I must have just gotten killed. Or maybe I cleared a level. The star fields don't appear like they're moving now. So the stars are static. But the letter Y as the alien pattern, I actually kind of like that pattern where they just kind of come down. And they're not continuously moving around. I would not have thought of that originally, I don't think. The way my aliens were working on my graphics version was different. They were kind of moving all around on the screen, trying to simulate like a Galaxian style thing. This is good, and this is in a compiler. So look how quickly I move left and right while objects are moving on the screen. So this is not necessarily written in assembly, but it's using that CBasic 3 compiler. What do you guys think of the speed of this? Halfway decent? Anyone? Crickets?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I can take note.
The only thing I say is you almost want to use a space instead of just a black character, so you'll have that dark green on light green on.
Yeah,
dark
yeah,
green.
that's how I had it on mine. I'm not sure why he chose this, but it's probably just, I don't know, quick and easy. Yeah, I use the actual inverse space character. The speed is good. I might want to mess around with that compiler. Hey,
Yeah,
Gary Neal has joined us. Hey, Gary. Yeah, no, this is good. I can't break out of it, so because it's compiled. All right, so I'm gonna
very smooth.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick his brain to see how he got. Matter of fact, I think he said he emailed me the compiler too, but I'm so bad. I'm so behind on my emails. My work life has been so busy. I have not had time to work on my hobby life. So I think he said he even emailed me the compiler, but I didn't grab that one. All right, so. Anyways, so that's a little something to show off there. Again, I can't take any credit for that other than possibly the inspiration. Oh, he says restart the app, but do it in RGB. Okay. Okay, and because, yeah, the CoCo 3 in RGB mode, the text does look black, right? All right, so we'll try that real quick. I got you there, Polly. See, Paul's a smart guy. All right, so that was under TCA. and TCA disk. So we'll go off and we'll load up my version here real quick. All right, so we're going to do RGB. Poke 65497, 0. Yeah, just to give you an idea, I'll show you my version again. This is my version. Yes, and yeah, in the CoCo 3, when you go into RGB mode, that god-awful dark green actually becomes black, right? So this is my version. My version does not have any aliens right now, but I do have a scrolling star field. But you can see here the speed of me moving left, and this is uncompiled basic. This is just basic. This speed is not terrible, but the compiled version is a heck of a lot better. I think we can all agree. Now, this is where you start to see some of the slowdown here, like me firing my laser. That seems a heck of a lot slower than David's version. So now when I load the binary version that he's compiled, okay, yeah, does that look better?
Can you bring it onto the main screen?
Oh shit, it's small. Sorry guys, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'm looking at it on my computer monitor and it's big there. All right, is that better?
Yeah, nice.
So
Oh,
now,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but now look how fast his moves left and right in the compiled version. Yeah, so right now he doesn't have the stars moving. The stars are static, and that's not bad, right? So what is a 25? Is that a timer? Okay, 27. Okay, so I'm getting some points for shooting these guys, I think. Or no, the clock is counting down. Yeah, the clock is counting down right now, 21. So I'm not getting points necessarily for hitting these guys, but they do seem to disappear when I hit them.
Yeah, it looks like it goes down, and then when you hit somebody, it counts back up again.
Oh, so you're getting more time. So if you don't hit enough of these guys in a certain amount of time, then it... okay.
You die, I guess.
Yeah, and I got to say, for this being text only, it doesn't look bad, especially in the CoCo 3 RGB mode, right? So the green on black just looks kind of monochromatic, right? And the letter A makes a halfway decent spaceship, surprisingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
The letter Y, they kind of look like TIE fighters or something coming down on you.
Kind of hard to hit, though, aren't they?
The hell yeah, they are. Or they look a little bit kind of like the Vipers on Battlestar Galactica, too, you know? So... Now, can I fire more? Now, so actually, yeah, so it does have rapid fire, so I can move and fire at the same time. Only one shot. Yeah, this is a good job, David Lord. Thanks. And so, and I don't know if he's got the source code to this. I like it. I would not have gone this route, having the aliens just go down like this. It's actually, the logic's a little bit easier because you only have to just decide shift left, shift right. You don't have to worry about shifting up and down. Like I've come up with a 360-degree grid of possible movements where I've got 9 different choices you can make, you know, on your different angles. This would make the randomization a lot easier. So it's just it's kind of a downpour, right? So they're just coming down on you, these aliens, which is just, and also just kind of a variation of my asteroid shower, because the asteroid shower is also a downpour, but they don't shift on the x-axis. They just randomly fall down on the y-axis. So I like what he's done here. This has now given me some inspiration on what to possibly do. And with the RGB, it looks really good. Like the game, where can we get it? Well, right now, this is not even my game. This is David Lord's game. But I guess I'm kind of inspired to work on mine some more now. That's cool. That's cool. All right, I'm going to move that off the screen. All right. Anybody? Gary Neal, can you hear us?
Yes.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem. I seen your live presentation earlier on Facebook. I thought I was like, wow, 7 hours, and you're still on.
we took a break and came back. So, you posted something a week or so ago where you're starting to do something in assembly, right?
Yes.
You got anything you can show us, or you can send us, and we can pull it up and look at it?
Not much, but I can show you what I've done so far. Since I posted that thing about a week or so ago. I kind of got real busy. I'm still finishing up my master's and, of course, working. And so I hadn't had much time to do anything else with it until today. And really, I just looked at it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can show you what I've got.
Okay, you want to do a screen share?
Sure. How do I do this?
Somewhere in Zoom, you can click on a green button to hit share, and then you can share a window or share a screen or an application or something like that.
Okay,
Bottom center.
It's a green button.
Yep. Okay, so I guess I'll just share the screen. Okay, are you able to see?
Almost. Yeah, there we go. I see your wallpaper.
Yes. These are the files right here, and this is the original basic program that I had written many years ago here.
Oh, you got it in Notepad++ with syntax highlighting.
Yeah. I mean, it's saying that this is a free basic file, and I just didn't bother to correct anything. So that's what it looked like when I look at it. This is the assembly file that I'm working on. That's supposed to pretty much redo this.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I bring it up in Explorer, I'll show you what the actual, what the original game is.
You can show us the basic version first?
Well, I mean, because the basic version is finished. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you want me to show you what I've done in assembly so far, I can do that too.
How about you show us the original first and then show us the work in progress. Yeah.
Sure. Let's see. I just have to go through and change some of this stuff. I'm still trying to figure out the proper command line switches or the configuration settings, so I'll have to keep doing this each and every time.
How long have you been working in the assembly language?
I got started back around '88 when I finally begged and pleaded and convinced my parents to get me that Etasm Plus cartridge. So that's where I got started in assembly.
That's
and
cool.
Really, it was because I had written every game I had written for the color computer at the time was all in BASIC, and once it gets any kind of complexity, it gets slow as I don't know what, even with the high-speed poke. Yeah, for me. So I was like, I got to do something. I got to learn assembly because I actually want some decent performance. I managed to write only one game in assembly back then, around about '91. Using just the Etasm cartridge. And then after that, I guess I moved on to PCs and whatnot. Let me find I think this one is it. And this really is, I have this on my website. I'm sorry. And this pretty much, I compiled all of the games together, probably around '94, put them on disk, and then managed to create a DSK file.
Okay, so these are all your own creations?
Yeah, all the ones I was able to recover. A few of them I lost.
I lost all the games I made back in the day. I wish I had anything that I had made, yeah.
Yeah. The one I'm rewriting is number 14, Sea Battle.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay. Well, the number 8 sub battle is the one that's actually all in assembly.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's one from back in the day you did in assembly?
Yep, but in '91.
All right.
Yeah, so let's see. I got to figure out all these keys. Matter of fact, we'll just let it run through. It'll do a demo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's even got like a top 5 or something like that. Just stuff I was doing back in the day, just like, oh, this is cool to add in and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so there it goes.
There you go.
Now, this has 3 modes.
Okay.
One mode, of course, is where you're the submarine. I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor.
Yeah.
Where you're fighting the ship. And then the other one is the reverse, where you're the ship fighting the submarine.
Okay.
And then, of course, the last mode was one ship. You're the one ship, and there's 3 submarines that you're basically fighting.
Ah.
Yeah. So
and this one is all in BASIC.
That's why it's so slow.
Yeah, no, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, this is PMO 1 graphics with very small sprites. And you can see that the depth chargers here are dots.
Yeah,
Those
that's a single pixel. Yeah.
Yeah, the little torpedoes. Everything I could do just to make it run as fast as possible in BASIC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see the current work in project version.
All
work in
right.
progress version.
Okay, so let me. I guess I'll just do a hard reset.
It's so cool that we have emulators now. We can fire these machines up so quick and easy.
Oh, I know. I don't have to sit here and swap floppy disk or do all kinds of crazy stuff. Or back when I was doing it, I didn't even have a floppy disk. It was all cassette.
No.
Yeah. All right. So let me see. This is what I've got so far. Just waiting. Okay. Here's the assembly code right here, and I'll show you what I've got so far.
I like it. I mean, it's easy to, not that I understand the language, but at least the spacing of everything is easy to read. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. Well, I don't do assembly language coding for a living, but I do program for a living. So that's
okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of a stickler with making my code look pretty.
Okay, remade in 2019. Okay.
Hopefully, I'll finish it in 2019.
Now, this one you still ran a basic program, but is the basic program a loader for the assembly one?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Matter of fact, right here, this is as far as I got. It'll say demo mode, and you'll see that it shows that's the screen, the background, and that's it. I haven't gotten as far as it putting the sprites in or doing any of the moving everything around, but that's it as far as I got so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at this point. Now, what was it that you just asked?
I don't remember. I was just commenting how I like how your code looks, so it's formatted out nice and legible.
Yeah. Yeah, you see where I just put all of the draw. I guess all the sprites. I guess you could say for the numeric digits 0 through 9.
Okay.
And this is the ship. Now, strangely enough, I just noticed this today when I was looking at it. It's like I didn't put the submarine sprite in there. So I guess I need to go and do that, get some graph paper and plot that out. And you mentioned something about the loader. Yes, there is a loader. This is it right here.
Okay.
All it does is just simply, clear memories, set the PMO, clear the pages, and then load and execute. That's all.
Okay, so everything we saw was your new and approved assembly code. So the first screen, the title screen, the high score stuff, and then where it says demo mode, that's all here, and this is the source code to it. Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. It's right here. It initializes all the high scores, which is this. It sets them all to 5,000 and high score, just like in the basic program. By default, then it says display title here, which that's right here.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm doing to kind of speed my development is I'm making a lot of ROM calls to the basic.
Okay.
Yeah, like loading B with 3 and then calling the CLSC.
Okay.
Which I've defined up here. And of course, it's all of that information you can get in the Color Basic Unraveled books.
Okay.
So it relies on, having extended Color Basic in there. Also, if you see the timer, it'll call this routine here after it displays the title. This is called wait for key, and what it does is it waits up to 5 seconds or until you press the keyboard key.
Mm-hmm.
And it relies heavily on the timer. I found when I launched the emulator with the editor assembler cartridge loaded, the timer doesn't update. So it'll launch one screen and it'll get stuck there, forever unless I press the key, because this time value, which is updated by extended basic, isn't updated unless I quit the basic and then come back into the Phantasm. Yeah, so just little things here and there as I was trying to debug this. This is where it displays the instructions here. Real short. Again, as I was saying, it relies on calling ROM routines here. The top scores. This is a little longer because I've actually had to format each line, but pretty much the same.
Do you have a sort routine in there too? So if the scores change, you can resort them.
I hadn't gotten that far yet, but yeah, it will.
Yeah.
Because the
I'm not
basic-
even looking forward to doing that in basic just yet, but I know I've done it in the past. I'm going to have to do it again to resort the high score table. So yeah.
Yeah, so that the highest score will appear on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. This one here actually displays the scores. The way I did the scores, here I'll show you up here. They're actually in BCD format. And this is something that I did way back in my high school days. It was like, because the processor has that structured decimal addition adjust, DAA. And I just utilized that because keeping it in BCD makes it very easy to display them.
What does that mean, BCD?
Binary coded decimal.
Okay.
Where the first 4 bits of a byte has 1 digit and the last 4 bits has another digit.
Okay. Is that how you do floating point? Is that the cheap and dirty way to do
No.
floating point?
No, no. Basically, it's a relic from the past. I guess the best way, the way I use it, it's very easy to store integer numbers and add them, but I really use it because it's easy to display them. Because if you see here.
Oh, instead of having to do like a binary to decimal conversion, it's a
Correct.
quick. Okay, now I got you. Yep.
I just pulled out each nibble. Like here it says get the most significant nibble, and all it does is just shift everything to the right 4 places, and then displays it here with the CHR out.
Okay.
And here, this part handles the lead and 0.
Okay, yeah, I remember Steve Bjork talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically what I've done.
Okay.
And this is where it asks you how many players. Now, the basic game had 5 players because I had this weird obsession that, you had to have like 5 or 10 players. So I was like, no, I think 2 players is enough. And let's see.
No, it looks good, man.
Yeah.
You got good commenting in there too. So you got a comment almost after every single line. So.
Yeah, I got a little verbose there.
Yeah.
And this is where it draws that background that y'all saw, right there.
Okay.
And that's about as far as I've got. I mean, this is the end of it.
Yeah. No, I mean your code looks great. Even like I say, I don't understand the language, but just the formatting of it is really nice. So.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now somehow you got to stop sharing when you're done. I think you have to click on the green thing again. There you go. You're done. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Bryza has joined us. Speaking of a guy who's making stuff in assembly too, we got another guy who says,
"Oh, crikey!"
It's Bryza.
G'day, people.
G'day, Bryza. How are you?
Flat out, mate. Flat out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You're working on something in assembly, right? Your little UFO thingy.
Yeah, but I've been working on this lately.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, getting back into. I've had a midlife crisis. I'm getting back into me model planes and tanks and battleships from when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I remember making models. Yeah.
Yeah. Most people get back into old cars and that, but I've got back into train sets and bloody
Yeah.
models.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing the UFO thing, but the other computer crashed, so that means I've got to try and salvage the stuff off of that now.
Yeah, we lost your neighbor. Nick Marentes was here a little while ago.
Oh, he's probably going back to work on his game.
Yeah, just look out your back window. You'll probably see him. So. Australia's
So
such
what
a
was that?
small country.
So what was that game that you were just talking to?
Gary Neal, he's or is actually Gary Wilkerson.
Yes, my last name is Wilkerson.
Yeah, so Gary, I guess it's a game he's redoing in assembly that you did back in the day. Yeah, so it's the kind of depth charge thing, right? Where you got the ship on the top of the water that's trying to bomb the sub, and the sub's trying to shoot the torpedoes up at the ship.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's it's a real good concept because that format has been used on so many different systems, like in the arcade, on the Atari 2600s. There's, you know, and when I started redoing Cosmic Aliens, I also used P Mode 1 because I like the big fat pixels. You know, something very lo-fi about those big pixels. You know, so that's cool.
Yeah, I figured I'd redo it first in P Mode 1, get it working, then I might switch to P Mode 3. But right now, my main goal is just get it working.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing really good at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've got ideas, but I don't have motivation. So it's like I lack the motivation and the discipline to stay on a project and keep it going.
Because Gary, you've only just started getting into the assembly side of things, haven't you?
I'm sorry. I could
your volume's a little low, Bryza.
Oh.
He asked you if you've only just recently gotten into assembly, Gary.
Me? I guess you could say I've recently gotten back into it for the 6809. Now, I did it back in 88 for up until about 91 or 92 until I just moved on to PCs.
Oh, okay. So you already had experience with it anyway. So it's just getting your feet wet again.
Yeah, just basically getting back into it. I guess the nice thing is that I have a much better editor than using that old editor similar float cartridge.
Oh, the Itasm.
Yep.
Yeah,
because the one game I did manage to do completely in assembly back then, I had to write it in modules and then bring over all of the symbols and essentially do the job of a linker to bring all the modules together because I just could not put the whole program in memory at once.
No, that was the only drawback to the old Itasm. You could only do it in chunks.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, because Nick still uses disk Itasm, doesn't he?
He is, but he's using a modern version by Robert Galt. So it does give you it does give you 80 columns, so he's got, I guess, a better editor and everything. But he's still doing it on the metal. He's coding on the CoCo and assembling on the CoCo. So, I mean, it's like I say, that's what Ken was saying earlier. It's kind of hardcore.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
yeah. And I was thinking, because I haven't really learned assembly yet, I was thinking, you know what, I want to go through those experiences. I want to feel the struggle. So maybe I'll do my first project in EdTasm because I've never used it. But now that's what I'm saying. Now that I've seen Notepad++, it's like, you know what, screw EdTasm, dude. it's like why, right? It's like, you know what? It's like, you know what? I wonder what it's like to live in a cave and have to forage berries and hunt for some pelts, hides to clothe myself. I'm like, you know what?
Hey, while you're at it, I was gonna say, while you're at it, get a real system and have everything load and save to a cassette.
Oh yeah, really. Oh
jeez.
Yeah,
that's getting old school.
Just squeeze some lemons in my eye while you do that too, right? So, hey, we've been joined by Lord Dragon and Erico. What's going on, guys?
Hey, is this thing working?
It's working. Testes 1, 2.
Exactly. Yeah, I never joined you in with the video and audio before, so I figured I'd say hello.
All right. Hello.
Yeah, this is awesome that you guys are doing a show about coding and programming and stuff like that because, we need some props.
Yeah. I'm mostly doing it because I don't have any motivation or discipline. So I'm hoping that by watching other people do things, I might want to do something myself. So.
That's good. You should definitely dig into assembly because that's been an eye opener for me because I grew up basic code and assembly just you have so much power.
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing what Ken did. Did you see the game we did? Ken's couch game a little while ago. The Highway. What's it called again?
Nightmare Highway.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that game reminds me of Demolition Derby. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
It was a ROM pack. That game was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were some things about Demolition Derby I found a little bit annoying, but yeah, I completely get it. Yeah. At first, I was thinking, you know what, this reminded me of Nick Marenti's Waterfall too, because you had the things on the side of the screen going down. So no, but Ken did a really good job with the scrolling of the stripes of the road and the colored boxes around all your different gauges and scores and stuff. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was surprised because I thought it was like 100% basic, and because it was just so smooth. So he did a good job, and that's so cool that he was able to tap into VSync because that's something I haven't done yet. I've done various different graphics routines in assembly, but I haven't done anything like animations yet. So I don't know kind of how it's going to turn out. But.
And Ken, did you say you got some pointers from Glenn Hewlett's blog?
Yeah, I was just going to say Glenn Hewlett's blog, and he has like a 4-part series on interrupts and VSync being the main one. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So what's his website? Like where?
I believe it should be on amacoconut.com. So if you go to amacoconut.com and you look under projects, it's probably there. So Glenn Hewlett, if you don't know if you recall, but he did the Pac-Man transcode, where he took the arcade version of Pac-Man and wrote it, rewrote it to work on the CoCo. And so he had to learn a lot of lessons about the CoCo hardware, and I guess he was blogging about it along the way. So, he's got a section on, he was talking about compiled sprites that he had to do and other things, and I guess interrupts was another one. So
awesome. I will definitely check that out.
Yeah. If you're in the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, yep. I'm in the Facebook group. I'm on Discord.
I don't know. I know Glenn has been in Facebook in the past. I'm not sure how active he is right now. He might be like a lot of us sometimes where we get into the life gets in the way thing. I'm just going to check for you real quick. I'm going to check to see if I can find the link for you.
Okay.
amacoconut.com. And if I go to projects, blogs and projects, and Mateo, D. Bruce, Glenn Hewlett. Okay, optimize. So the blog is called Optimizing Assembly Code by Glenn Hewlett, and I will post a link to that in the YouTube chat, and I will also post a link to that in the Zoom chat. So I'm not sure which one you'll see.
Yeah, probably the Zoom.
Okay, so I just posted a link to that in the Zoom chat too. So yeah.
Got it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Glenn's worked on a lot of stuff. So obviously that Pac-Man transcode was really cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and then he started working on one of Defender too, because Pac-Man was written on the Z80, so he had to translate all the Z80 instructions over to 6809. But Defender was actually written on a 6809. So he was working on a Defender transcode, and we actually saw a demo of it last year at CoCo Fest. But I guess he's been busy with stuff. So we haven't heard from him too much, but I know he's out there. And so if anybody's been in contact with Glenn recently, send him a note, tell him that, hey, as a matter of fact, I'll do that. He emailed me maybe last year. I need to respond to him, just letting him know. We'd like to hear from him again. So Glenn's done some cool stuff. I think Glenn did some early work too on like MIDI players to output to some of the different sound chips. I remember him working on some routines like that, just some real simple stuff to take music files and play them out on the old PSG programmable sound generator and on the Game Master cartridge. I think he even did one using some of Simon Jonason's Square Wave things where you could do it just using DAC output. So Glenn's done a lot of projects for the community that's given us some resources.
Yeah. He's got a section on stack blasting, self-modifying code, which is really useful stuff. I've done stack blasting before, and it's like people are so clever. It blows my mind hearing from some of the great programmers that have been doing this so long, and like it just. It's sort of like you try to reinvent the wheel, but then if you mention it, they're like, oh no, you just do this, you shift that and you use this register, and it's like, wow, how the hell did someone figure that out? It's like I
remember when Steve Bjork was doing his assembly tutorials, he goes, when you go to a buffet and you have all those plates that are like on that thing, and when you pick one plate, another plate comes up, and he's like, he like dumbed it down for me where even I can understand that. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to show off as far as a project you're working on, a programming project, or anybody want to bounce ideas or ask questions since we've got some minds here that we can tap into?
Hey, Steve, I just wanted to add something real quick.
Yeah, Gary.
You had mentioned Defender and the 6809 code. It was interesting this past week. A colleague of mine told me that one of the engineers where I work at used to work at Williams. And I was curious if I talked to him, because I don't know how much of the involvement is there, if he did any coding or if he just did the hardware layout. But I had thought about it, maybe inviting him to this show.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I should know, just running that by you, I'll see what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him Monday when I get back to work.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really feel like doing any coding tonight myself, so I'm not going to work on my program too much, but I am inspired, especially after seeing what David Lord did with it, and especially how he's given me an idea to make the aliens kind of just fall and just kind of like steer left and right as they fall. Instead of, I've had them going in like kind of circular patterns where they're kind of, I was trying to, do a poor man's mimicking of what Galaxian and stuff did. But I kind of like the idea of the falling aliens. I think it really simplifies a lot of things, and it makes it a little bit more challenging because they're coming down at you and you almost have to avoid them. Yeah. Yeah, Curtis Boyle says it would be great to have a Williams developer on the show. Absolutely. So you got a Curtis also says make sure to read the comment section. Lots of additional tips there as well in Glenn's blog. Okay, so not only does the blog have information, but lots of comments too. Yeah, that'd be great, Gary. You just need to make sure that since Ron Delvaux has been our celebrity booking agent, you got to make sure that he gets 10% of the appearance fee too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to him Monday. Yeah. I know he does more hardware stuff than software.
Yeah.
So I'll see what exactly what he used to do back when he worked.
Yeah.
There.
Well, I'm sure there'd be a lot of guys who'd want to pick his brain too, because I know a lot of guys are interested in what Williams did. I know the word, but I don't know exactly what it does. But it had something called a blitter. A hardware blitter, right, where it can like blast memory faster too. So like a lot of games like Defender with the explosions and things like that. So those blitter chips that were added did things that the 6809 would have been harder to do by itself. So I think that's something that they're going to have to emulate too, right? So yeah, that would be cool. I know Nick Marentes would want to ask him about blitter stuff, and I'm sure Steve Bjork might too. Who knows? Curtis Boyle says it needs beard approval. That's talking about Ron Delvaux.
One more. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, what time is your show? What time do you normally have your show?
The daytime CoCo Talk show?
Yes.
We do it at 2:00 Florida time.
Okay. Just so I know, just so if I ask him and he's willing to come on, I know what time to tell him to come on.
Yeah. But another thing too is that if we will try to work around people's schedules too. So if he's like, listen, I can't do Saturdays or whatever, or the time's not good, we'd be more than happy to do something, even if it's not live, to do a get together at a time that would work for him. So
okay.
we offer that to everybody because I realize not everybody's willing to give up their Saturday. Only some of us crazy people are. So, so no, that's cool. That's very cool. We had Erico on here before. We lost Erico. I don't know if he's going to come back. I'd like to hear what he's been doing. I can't wait to see more stuff about Matchy, what he's been doing. He's been doing some really cool stuff. We're seeing a lot of like resurgence. Now, I don't know about resurgence, but we're seeing some good demos in semi-graphics right now. We're seeing some stuff, and there seems to be a newfound interest in it. And I just enjoy seeing some of these demos they're putting up on the screen right now. One of the things I liked about Ken's game, even though he made the joke about stunning low resolution visuals or whatever, but those modes are the only modes on a CoCo 1 or 2 where we had decent color. Once you get into the graphics modes, those god awful 4 colors of the greens and blues or the whites and oranges, they were just horrible. So that low resolution mode that had a black background with 8 colors and text, I mean, that was visually and color wise, that was as good as you could get on the CoCo 1 and 2. So to see things take advantage of those colors, and then there's a couple of hacks you could do on top of that. So you could use the inverted text as a darker shade of green. So that would give you like a 10th color. You could also do the color shift where you turn the greens into oranges, or the peachy looking color where you could have like a dark red and a peach color. So you could get like up to, matter of fact, I think Simon Jonason did a demo where he had like 11 colors on screen in semi-graphics, and he had like some plasma effects, and he had one that was really good with the fireplace, the kind of pulsating fireplace, and he used those the peach and the dark reds on top of the oranges and reds that the CoCo had, so it got a lot more shades in it. So it's neat to see what people do with that kind of stuff.
And that means it would pretty much run on any CoCo too, like 1 through 3.
Yeah, if you keep it in the semi-graphics 4 mode. Once you start getting into like the SG6s, 12s, and 24s, those don't work as well on CoCo 3 if you're trying to mix graphics and text, from what I understand.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just thought the semi-graphics modes were pretty much universally compatible on all the models.
No, they lack the text side of things.
Yeah, so the CoCo 3 doesn't use the actual Motorola VDG. The Gimme emulates that, and there were certain things I'm not a hardware guy, so I'm just trying to regurgitate things I think I remember hearing, but I think it had something to do with having the SAM along with the VDG that allowed you to mix these modes and mix graphics and text. And since the Gimme's emulating that, we can't do to the same extent. So you can't get graphics and text in CoCo 3, but you could get the graphics.
So like, I don't know if you guys remember the little directory hacks you could do in BASIC where you could put like semi-graphics and like a kind of corrupted file name. And so like, I remember this one disk, you did a directory and it was like a picture of Bart Simpson in like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And like, I guess you have to patch BASIC to prevent it from just erroring out when it encounters, a weird byte. But it's amazing how creative people can get with semi-graphics and have it actually look really interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know that there was an incompatibility with some of those modes on the CoCo 3. So I learned something new.
Yeah. So like what Nick Marentes did with one of his early games, Neutroid. The original Neutroid that was for the CoCo 1 and 2, he had the normal text for the score on the screen, but when he redid it for the CoCo 3, he did Neutroid 2015, he had to replace the actual alphanumeric text and create graphical text. Because you can't mix, because I guess the mixing of graphics and text is kind of, I don't know if it's hackish or whatever, so... And Curtis Boyle saying, I remember those semi-graphics directories. He says you can also do that in OS 9. You can make color changes and everything in directory entries. It's almost like getting ANSI codes into your directory listing. Huh? That's crazy.
I might be confused though. Like semi-graphics, you're talking about, they're like the characters, and there's like a corner where there's a black box. And
yeah. So the semi-graphics that we can do in BASIC, it's one space is broken into 4. Mm-hmm. That mode is called SG4 because one text cell is broken into 4 quadrants, and one cell can contain either a single byte character like an alphanumeric character, or it can contain up to 4 blocks of graphic data, but only with black and one other color. And so you can't like have 4 different colors in the same block. You could have black and red or black and yellow, but you couldn't have 2 different colors in that same grid. But
so graphics is different from that, or that is
well, that's called SG4, the semi-graphics, because it's semi-graphics, right? It's partially graphics, it's partially text. So the normal mode is called SG4 because every character is broken into 4 blocks, and then there's an SG6. Where it's 2 columns by 3. You've got 3 lines of graphical data. And then there's an SG12 where You got 2 columns of 6, where you got 12, whatever. So, and then you go all the way to SG24, where you have 24 lines, or however it works out. But with the SG24, you've actually got 192 vertical lines. So you've got like P mode 4 vertical resolution, but you still only have the 64 pixels across.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know that it was that complicated.
Yeah.
Basically, my first CoCo was a CoCo 3. So pretty much I don't have any experience with the first two. And so I never really fully explored those graphics modes because I was spoiled and had
yeah. And there's a couple of there's not a lot. There's probably maybe a dozen, maybe 2 commercial games that were released in semi-graphics. But one of them, there's a couple that were like Defender games, like Protectors or Protectors 2, and they actually used text characters and pieces of text characters to animate the little people waving their hands when you had to pick up your people and stuff. So, and one of the earliest ones, if you look at Audio Spectrum Analyzer, and you look at where the text is, like a normal text block is actually, I think, 12 pixels high, but there's only like 8 pixels of text data, and so there's like a few pixels above and a few pixels below. In Audio Spectrum Analyzer, that stuff's all cropped off with black, and you can have like a single 1-line pixel underlining text on there because he's doing it all semi-graphically. So there's some really cool stuff that Audio Spectrum Analyzer did too. So, and that was one of the earliest semi-graphics modes that was on a commercial product, but there's been a handful of games that use that. There was one game with that was kind of like a Phoenix style game, but I think it involved dragons. Like it's called Dragonfire or something like that. That was, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, hey, Steve Bjork just joined us. So, now we got somebody who actually knows what he's talking about. I'm fluffing right now. So, so semi-graphics are really cool, and they've been mostly underutilized. And it seems like there's and Farfall used it too, right? So the Farfall game is SG24. So you've got a lot of lines of vertical resolution, and you got at least 9 colors, so.
Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to play one of those games, I would probably have to use an emulator, right? Because if you
have a CoCo 3, you won't get the graphics and text mixed. Only SG4, the lowest resolution, which is the text screen, that's the only one that's perfectly emulated.
Gotcha.
Yeah, any of the resolutions that require the SAM chip to basically kind of start cutting the character in half and thirds and like that, that's where they failed with the gimme.
Wow. I always just assumed that semi-graphics, was all just lumped into kind of like I knew there was different modes, but I figured it was more to do with, color selection or something like that. I didn't think it was such a low level difference. So very interesting.
Well, see, you can display the text on the screen too. That takes a bit of information from the byte. So you've lost some resolution there. And, basically you're turning on and off the stuff, and you've got 3 bits for the color. So, it leaves 4 bits left over for the 4 bits of the cell and the semi-graphic low resolution, the standard resolution, what was designed for the 6847. So it was a cheap way to get graphics on the screen for that chip. And then you've got the regular graphics mode, which, as you know, I use that quite a bit.
Yeah. So semi-graphics, again, there was a handful of programs, a handful of games that used it. And it just seems like there's some people now who are they're getting excited about semi-graphics again, and we're seeing some demos that are really cool. If you don't try to mix graphics and text, is it safe to say most semi-graphics modes, even like SG24, should display on a CoCo 3?
No.
No?
It's the problem when you go up beyond the lowest resolution mode. The gimme chip just doesn't handle what the SAM chip was doing to get you, because the like semi-graphics 24, which is every scan line, you're changing the byte that draws that character on the screen. That's controlled by the SAM, and they didn't do that in the gimme, from what I understand.
Well, Curtis is saying there was different pokes depending on the modes, but you could poke to change to SG 8, 12, or 24, but there would just be graphics and not text.
Yeah, they really failed with it. They never got it working right. And that's a shame because Audio Spectrum Analyzer won't work on a CoCo 3.
Yeah.
And there was another very popular cartridge, which was the X10 controller, the plug-in power.
Okay.
Their cartridge didn't work on a CoCo 3. That's why at the CoCo Fest, after the CoCo 3 came out, Tandy was dumping that controller. Yeah, you could walk out of there. Let's see, it started at $20 each. By Sunday, it was down to $5 each. And if you're still around at the end of the day at the Rainbow Fest, you could have got it for free. Here, take 20. They did not want to take, because it was like the inventory that was left in the warehouse, they had shipped it up to Chicago.
Wow.
And they didn't want to ship it back.
It's weird because as I'm learning more about the real low-level hardware stuff and the registers on the CoCo 3 and the Gimme, I really appreciated like how much effort they went to making some backwards compatibility with CoCo 1 and 2 stuff. There's all sorts of register values, the CoCo compatibility mode, and it's just weird that they went through all that trouble and they even supported SG4. But that was it. They just stopped there and didn't, finish and support the rest of it. It's just, that's weird.
Well, a lot of what was going on with the design of the Gimme chip was they could only do so much because they could only afford so much silicon. As you started doing more things, required more silicon, required a more expensive chip. So, and a lot of the design that went into the CoCo 3 for, as far as designing the Gimme, that was actually kind of paid for by the Tandy 1000 systems, because they were also getting that sort of chip. So they're kind of piggybacking on the technology. And there's a lot of things I want. I wanted more than 6 bits for the PAL register. I wanted, Curtis, I know you would have loved to have had a 2K resolution for the MMU.
Yeah, the 2 meg built in would have been nice.
Yeah. So it's
2K, or 2K blocks, either one would have been good.
Yeah. Did I say 2 meg? I meant 2K resolution.
Yeah, so the 2K MMU blocks. I just wanted to make one statement on the semi-graphics on the CoCo 3. You can simulate the graphical portion of it. There's a gimme trick. You can do a single poke, and the value depends on which semi-graphics mode you're emulating, but it'll actually change the number of scan lines. And it'll actually will work, and the graphics come out perfectly fine, but all the text stuff is lost. So you can do that poke before you run a semi-graphics game. You can actually play the game. You just might not see your score.
Yep. It's just, and that definitely meant Audio Spectrum Analyzer wasn't going to work because it required the characters, text characters.
Yeah.
And like that. And that.
I think I tried it actually, and it does the bars and stuff, the live bars you can see moving up and down, but there's nothing telling you like what hertz any of the bars are. So.
Yeah, because I was using the semi-graphics for the bars, and of course I was using the text part of it for the for the stuff coming down. Now Tandy did have me make a version that worked in regular graphics, and I submitted to them, and they never did anything with it. So there was a quote unquote a one that was compatible for the CoCo 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay, didn't realize that. I do know, like Nick Morendi's, when he redid his Neutroid game, like his original one was using the semi-graphics 24, I believe it was, with text, and he had his score and stuff with text. So he just reprogrammed just the scoring part to do, semi-graphics block shapes, and now it's compatible with the CoCo 3.
I wonder if the Gimme X will have a feature to sort of emulate.
Yeah, I think that's
it is going to have the semi-graphics modes built in. Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll finally have a CoCo 3 that's actually fully compatible with CoCo 1 and 2.
Yeah. Of course, with the Gimme X, you also get definable character sets. Woohoo!
Yep, and 512 colors, and there's a bunch of stuff in there.
Now we're getting CoCo VGA territory on the CoCo 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was definitely interesting to listen to the rules and regulations on what could be used and like that when you're developing products for Tandy. And still, even when you follow their rules, you still got screwed.
Yeah. Well, the rules with semi-graphics, I think, changed as time went on. I think when they started planning the CoCo 3, or even when they were doing the transition between the RMS system to the Gimme, I think they were already saying that semi-graphics was not going to be in either one of those solutions. So
I guess they figured it was probably so underutilized that it was, if you had to make a sacrifice, to gain all this other functionality, to lose that one functionality, they probably figured it was a small loss.
Exactly. Well, when you look at it, semi-graphics was great back in 1980 when you didn't have a lot of RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the original Color Basic manual, the big thick one, it actually had an explanation in the back of the book explaining how every single one of the semi-graphics modes worked.
Wow.
So they were encouraging it in the book at one point.
Plus,
And I remember talking to people about the semi-graphics mode and explain how it worked in conjunction with the SAM and stuff like that. As I talked more and more about it, trying to be very good on my explanation, I could just see the eyes glazing over.
Sorry, fireworks are going off outside. I don't know if
I was hearing that. I was wondering what it was. I had the same problem all throughout the day today.
I'm like, man,
fireworks
these guys
going
gonna
off.
think I'm like in a war zone here or something.
That's awesome. I need to refill my beverage. So should we run a commercial break and come back?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to mute my microphone. We're going to run about a 2-minute commercial break. I need a new drink, and we'll be back with more coding talk and Lord knows what else after this. Thanks, guys.
Hey, this is Bruce Moore, author of Force of Doom, and you're watching the original gamer, CoCo.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the Tandy Color Computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Oh, I remember that Christmas. Dad gave me my first shortwave radio from Radio Shack. What memories. This Christmas, we got our son's Color Computer 3 from Radio Shack. It hooks right up to our TV and was on sale for less than $130. The Color Computer 3 makes learning fun. Jimmy even lets me use it for word process when he isn't playing computer games. Lucky I still got my shortwave.
Save $70 on the sale-priced Color Computer 3, only at Radio Shack.
Hi, it's Ron Dovo, Timberman, and this is CoCo Talk.
In a world where RGB produces black and white video, one cable can make a difference. Switcheroo. CoCo3ScartCable.com.
Some people have big plans after school. You know what Elliot's going to do? Jeff, too. Elliot's at work on a book report using Scripted on Radio Shack's Color Computer 3. It hooks up to his TV. And Jeff's at his Radio Shack Color Computer 3 playing the newest football game. But wait, what's Elliot doing playing New Super Pitfall? And Jeff's having a blast with a new math tutor. You never know what you might try with more than 100 programs for fun and learning. Radio Shack's Color Computer 3 comes with everything you see here. Other items each sold separately. Only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCo Talk.
All right. And we are back. Now, when you say you're having a blast with your new math tutor, That leaves a lot open to interpretation for me. In
Back blasting is math.
Luckily, I still have my shortwave.
Yes.
I'm actually a ham radio operator, so that's still a thing for me. Shortwave radio and
yeah. I started watching
HF, VHF.
So I started watching season 3 of Stranger Things, which just dropped on Netflix, and on the first episode, he's got a big ham radio antenna that he takes up to the top of the hill to talk to his girlfriend he met in summer camp. So ends up picking up some messages from Russian spies or something, on his giant ham antenna that he cranked up in the air. So it was pretty cool.
That reminds me of that movie. I forget what it's called, but basically he uses his dad's ham radio to like go back, talk to someone back in time or something, and like
he
uses like the aurora.
He talks to his dead father.
Huh?
Frequency.
Yes.
Yeah, he talks to his dead father.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep, that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, that's an
Yes.
David, are you home? I mean, Jason, are you home?
I am home. I was just I've been home, but I was watching the fireworks, and I was able to watch them from the yard there, and there we go. Yeah, I don't know anything about ham radio.
Oh, nice.
I got all my
Wow. Impressive.
Oh, I'm sure you watch a movie, they got a ham on there, you're going, after you watch the scene, go, oh, they have absolutely no clue how ham works.
that even in frequency, they did some things that were just wrong. But they actually did have a couple hams. If you look in the special features on the DVD, that consulted on that film. But there's still a couple lines that just make me cringe that don't make any sense. I've never heard one say, what was the line? It was, "I've been trying to cue you all night." I've never heard anyone say that.
I know. It's.
I usually use the letter F when I say that. So
there's a ham radio thing where you're just calling. If you're just calling for any station, you just call out CQ, whether it would be in Morse code or text. Yeah, CQ. Well, he's like, "I've been trying to cue you all night." It's like, that's not how that works. If you're calling CQ, you're just calling for anyone.
Yeah, it's like saying breaker 19.
Well, no, that's something a millennial would say. They have to shorten it down. Even though it makes no sense, they have to shorten it.
It's funny because I sometimes I bring my handheld with me, and just people these days don't even know what two-way radio is, like let alone what ham radio is. And sometimes I'll just say, well, it's kind of like CB. And then it's like a 50-50 chance that they'll know what even that is. And if they know what that is, then it's like, all right, yeah, walkie-talkie. And they're like, oh, wow. And then people say, are you a cop? And it's like,
you a cop?
Oh yeah.
You got any drugs? Because I need to confiscate them if you do. So
I was walking down the street
If you're a cop, if you're a cop, you got to tell me.
Yeah, I was walking down the street one day talking on it, and someone just like looks at me and looks to her friend and says, "Oh, I think it's an informant." And I'm just like, I'm gonna get killed or something doing
an
this.
informant.
Has anybody ever come up and said to you,
more complex when you're using like repurposed, like Motorola public service gear converted to ham use? That even complicates. That even complicates things even more.
Oh, definitely. We're getting far off topic, so I apologize.
That's a big cell phone.
But I have I have an X. What is it? Let's see. It's a Motorola XTS 5000, and it's just a VHF.
Okay.
It doesn't have a screen. It's sort of like programmable, old school one. But yeah, it's a big honking radio, and I walk around talking on that, and I definitely get even more looks.
has anybody ever come up and asked you, why don't you just go buy a modern cell phone? Why are you using such an old cell phone?
Oh, absolutely. It's two-way radio. Oh, well, why can't you just use a phone? It's like, well,
listen, when the zombie apocalypse hits, we're going to need these shortwave radios.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not sure if we're going to need the path tutor, but we might need the.
Well, when the aliens attack, we're going to definitely need them.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
We're screwed.
when we're in that apocalyptic thing, we're going to be on that radio saying, "I've been trying to cue you all night. The world is over. Cue."
Well, we made it through another 4th of July, and we didn't need our Morse code operators because we didn't have the aliens attack us like back in the 90s.
I was beginning to wonder if we would actually need it, though, for that other earthquake that hit you guys there, that even bigger one.
Yeah, that did turn out to be 7.1. That was the strongest earthquake to hit Central or Southern California since the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah, this time there was injuries, there was fires, and all kinds of things from what I saw.
Yeah, to sort of bring it back to the CoCo thing, like there's a thing in ham radio called packet, and it's sort of like picture a very slow modem, like
Yep. Yeah, packet radio.
Yeah, exactly. So when the zombie apocalypse happens, we'll have to get the packet radios connected to the CoCo, and then we'll I can use my solar panel setup to run the CoCo hooked up to the packet radio so that we can communicate with the terminal program when all the grid is down and all towers are down and all that.
Did you hear the episode we had with Dale Puckett on?
No. What was that?
We had a CoCo talk with Dale Puckett. He's a big ham guy.
Yeah.
He's on the podcast Ham Nation, and did some
nice.
CoCo stuff back in the day, and actually, when I first became a ham around 1994, I actually did do some packet radio with the CoCo 3, just running a terminal program that was using Ultima Term.
Oh yeah, that was yep.
And then just running like a Cantronics KPC3 hooked up to my 2-meter radio, running 1200 baud packet radio. And
yeah, occasionally I would.
Was WeFax packet radio, or was that something separate? The
What was that?
weather, the WeFax stuff, where you actually got the weather drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
That was Marty's thing, was WeFax, and the only problem with WeFax is by the time you downloaded the picture and looked at it, the weather had already changed.
Yeah. WeFax is a HF communication thing, where packet radio is almost always VHF, UHF, which is kind of local, line of sight type of thing, and the WeFax is HF, so that's like bouncing off the ionosphere, and so that can go hundreds of miles. You don't need line of sight for that, and it's a kind of a different protocol. Packet is sort of like like
more
a
like
modem.
Ethernet, right? Or no, more modem, like serialized.
Yeah, like it's there's like a two-way thing, so like each packet has to be acknowledged, whereas with WeFax it's just a transmission, so you do you can
like a TV signal almost. It's
exactly. If you get interference or you miss something, that's it. Whereas with a packet radio, if you miss something, then your packet radio will say no, I didn't get that, send it again, and so that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, the KA9Q package, which was ported to the CoCo back in the early 90s, supported that, and it did a lot of the internet protocols over packet radio.
Wow, that is awesome. Because when I was doing the CoCo thing back in the day, I was like so young that I really didn't have access to, ham radio gear and all that. But if I was older, I would have loved to get into that. When I would log into BBSs and I would go to like the color computer file section, it would always be programs, ham related for calculating antenna length or whatever. So there was definitely some ham programs for the CoCo out there, but that's awesome.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of overlap with people who are into retro vintage stuff. I never got into ham radios ever. I don't understand it even now. I mean, I appreciate the people who are, and I'm not going to make fun of them or anything, but it just was never anything that struck my fancy. But I just remember back even in the 80s and stuff where I would meet people and that were like huge ham guys and like, oh, you're into computers? Like, yeah, oh, you're going to love this. Let me show you my ham setup. And I'm just looking at all this stuff. And, it might as well have been, you know, it wouldn't have mattered, you know, because it was just like, okay, I know that you're into that, and I know you like it. I don't really understand it, and I'm just not really that interested in it, you know. But but they just seem to assume that if you're into computers, you're going to be into ham, and I think there are a lot of people who are, but I don't think they're necessarily completely synonymous, you know.
Well, it's not so much into computers as you're into technology.
Tech, okay, yeah. So,
but no, well, I mean, yeah, I think Stevie does have a good point though, because like radio is in a lot of ways like a black art. Like there's, you know, computers, there's obviously lots of overlap, but computers is like, it's like a sort of a different kind of thing. I think I totally understand what you're saying.
But the one thing that's in ham or anything else to do with the radio, it's a voodoo. Because with that stuff, you know, you got digital, yes or no, right or wrong, boom. Then you get into analog. But when you get into radio stuff, radio frequencies, man, does that get it's voodoo. It's you're shaking sticks at it. You're trying to get to work. I mean, Stevie, do you remember the times with the old rabbit ears? You would go up, you'd grab the rabbit ear, and the station came in perfectly. You let go, and oh God, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Voodoo.
Because essentially your body was becoming part of the antenna system. It was acting as a reflector. Yeah. And maybe, you know.
Yeah, as a kid, we were both the remote control and the reception boosters for the television because your dad would say, go over there and change the channel. Jiggle the antennas. Okay, now just stand there and hold it for a while because now the picture's good. So.
Yeah, go stand on the roof and lean over that tree over there. You know, I got to watch the football game.
It's only 12 minutes in the show. Just hold it.
The thing that the thing that I did, the closest parallel I could find to computers was this is going back to like the 80s, but when you hear the people coding very quickly over ham, that sounds to me a lot like modem squawk. You know, like high-speed Morse code over ham radio sounded very similar to what you would hear what modems are doing. You know,
yeah, exactly. So, it's because it's exactly the same technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically, Morse code or CW or what they would call continuous wave is a digital mode. It's either on or it's off.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a primitive form of a digital mode.
And I think even back then, even in the 80s, there was software that would listen to the Morse code and convert it into text where you would get like an on-screen teletype of the Morse code that they were picking up off the hams, right?
Right.
Well, there were radio teletype modes that would be more reliable. I did see some software in the 90s that would, you know, supposedly read Morse code, but if it was someone sending it by hand, they would be a little sloppy. The computer wouldn't get it. If it was a computer generating the Morse code, it was usually perfect. But if it was someone sending it by hand, it wasn't so good.
Yeah.
But
And in fact, even today in 2019, our latest, you know, software technology and algorithms and all that stuff, it's still not consistent. It still makes errors in trying to decode CW if it's from a human. Even the computer, it's tough to distinguish between a space that's between two characters in a word versus like a space between actual whole words and stuff. So it's not perfect.
Now, Steve, sometimes the problem is an error gets created by the person doing the Morse code, but more likely a person gets a style, an accent, just like somebody might have a Southern accent.
Right.
And if you're not used to that accent, you're not going to understand it.
Yep.
And they all transmit at different speeds too.
And I've talked to hams that not only just the style, but each kind of transmitter kind of has a unique sound to it sometimes too. And a ham would tune to a frequency, and you'd hear a guy start transmitting, and like in an instant, like, oh yeah, that's so and so. Oh yeah, that transmitter has a little weird sound to it or whatever. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember there was a fellow that had a 2-meter radio that had a subtle noise in the carrier, and you could always tell. I think the fellow's name, he's since passed, but his name was Vince. And one time he just bumped the mic and keyed briefly, and I said, "Oh, I hear Vince is around." Not too long after I said that, he got rid of the radio. I guess he figured the jig was up.
That's interesting when you got to.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, that packet stuff that you hear on the radio is just it's the same technology as a modem, because both telephone line and radio waves are essentially audio, and modems are just converting digital information into sounds, tones.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of how many start bits, how many stop bits, what frequency ranges, and how much bandwidth you can cram into there. But that's why it sounds so similar, because it's pretty much the same.
It's starting to sound a lot like Ethernet. It sounds like the difference between packet radio is what TCP does, and WeFax is like UDP. UDP is unacknowledged, and so
that's a great analogy. Yeah, that's true.
And even in packet radio, there are unacknowledged packets. They call them unproto packets.
Okay.
And it's just like an identifier or something. And there's actually a whole system that uses nothing but unproto packets. It's for location. It's called APRS.
So there are actual protocols for that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just using the 1200 baud unproto packets that don't have to be acknowledged, which were you really use for like identification purposes and stuff like that. But I do have to mention one other thing about bits, the most important type of bit. And I believe that's the bacon bit.
Yes. All right. Nick Marentes is back from down under. So it's
right.
It's Nick Marentes. He's back. We were talking a little bit earlier, Nick, about the semi-graphics modes and some of the things that do and don't work on the CoCo 3, and we mentioned with your Neutroid how you had changed stuff to get that going. So
well, it's basically one poke you have to do to the CoCo 3 to activate it. All the rest of the normal pokes work as before, but yeah, it's address FF9C. And then depending on the value you put in there, if you put 7 in there, it's an SG6 mode. If you put an 8 in there, it's an SG8 mode. If you put a 9 in there, it's an SG12, and a 10 is an SG24.
Okay.
And then it works.
And the graphics work, but the 9 colors, you just don't get the text.
Graphics work, but not the text, yeah.
Okay.
So you didn't like patch the original game so that it would be 100% functionality. You just sort of
no. You
have to get around the text part. So
yeah, you can't get around the text part. Yeah, no, that's a limitation in the gimme in doing SG. But programs, existing SG programs, you probably have to do the poke before you exec the program, unless you modify the code, of course. But without modifying the code, I think generally if you can do that poke beforehand, before you do an exec, it should come up.
Yeah.
Unless the program does other things, and changes things drastically.
I'm trying to remember, did Guardian work? Because Guardian used a weird mode. It used an overscan mode. I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
And Protectors 2, you can play it, but because all the little guys you're trying to rescue are made completely of text characters, they never show up, so you have no idea where they are.
Yeah.
But pretty well every other game, like Fire Draka and Cave Hunter and Pack Attack and all these other ones, Worm Tube, Farfall, the gameplay will work fine. It's just you won't see the score.
Yeah, Pac-Tac was really good. Pac-Tac was a good Pac-Man game that was done in semi-graphics mode,
Yeah. I think it was our first one, actually. I think it came out
one of the earliest Pac-Man games. Yeah. And you had
9C, that's I just searched. It's the vertical scroll register. So
yeah.
I would not expect that to be the thing to define, the semi-graphics mode. I figured that would be in a different place. So
yeah, I thought it would have been the LPR one, but yeah.
Yeah, FF9C. I'm just trying to find Guardian to load it in on the emulator and do that poke beforehand, just to see if it does work.
Which
I've got a real CoCo 3 up here right now. So hold on, I'll go ahead and try it while you're working on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be quicker.
Yeah, because Guardian's basically a semi-graphics 24 mode, but it has the overscan where the actual byte or the lines are not 32 bytes wide, but 42 or 46.
How do you spell Guardian? Is it GU?
If I go ahead and load Guardian, I do poke FF9C, 10 and execute it.
Oh, this one actually has a Guardian fix. So this one on my CoCo SDC, I've actually got something called Guardian fix. So this one might already be patched. So let me try it right now. I'm going to stretch this out. That's what she said.
What I get.
So I'm going to try Guardian fix bass. Sorting directory. I just got lowercase. Oh, well, no. What the actual F just happened there?
Wow.
How did I get lowercase?
Wow.
Because you sorted the directory.
What? I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what I just did.
Yep, you hit the sort button instead of the run button.
Huh. I forgot that the CoCo 3 has like a lowercase 32 column character set.
Yeah, it has inverse video, the full border, lowercase.
Oh, that's
All right,
cool.
I just did some seriously wackadoodle stuff here right now. Okay, let me just get out of it. Let me type in dir.
Sure.
Shouldn't I be mounted in this? Wasn't a shift M to mount?
Do you have to power cycle maybe?
Enter should be to run the program. Now that just screwed something up.
Doesn't poke FF9C, 10 after loading the program doesn't work on this end on a real CoCo 3.
I just ran my Neutroid 2, which for some reason VCC is showing text as well in semi-graphics. So I've got Neutroid 2, which wasn't patched, and it's running.
VCC with semi-graphics.
But yeah,
Okay,
VCC's also putting the text up there.
All right, so here's Guardian. Not exactly.
Yeah, that's the same thing I got.
Okay, this is CoCo 3.
Yep.
Are the borders supposed to be out of alignment like that, like staggered? In the
I think that's because it's using the overscan mode, which is, as far as I know, it's the only game that ever did that. And that was why I was suspecting it won't work, because it doesn't make a normal screen.
Oh, you know what? My Boomerang E2 board is lit up too, so something's poked something in the Boomerang. Where I've got an LED light inside my CoCo 3. You don't see that every day.
It's probably crashed.
Yeah.
What are you trying to run here?
Semi-graphics games like Pack Attack and stuff, that should work with those pokes that Nick mentioned.
Okay.
Well, that got.
I'm just trying the others now.
So, what are you trying to run on there? Guardian
on the CoCo 3.
Well, I ran that before with Curtis gave me a poke years ago, and I got it running.
Well, I'm running Hunter. What's it called?
Cave Hunter?
Must be Cave Hunter, I guess. And it's running now in the VCC in semi-graphics
FF9C, you say?
FF9C, and then depending on the mode
what was that
you want.
That was
FF9C.
It's FF9C. Someone was doing HHD or whatever it was.
No,
So
9C.
To get
I've
to the
got it.
SG24 in this case. Yeah, it should be 10 in this
24?
case. SG24.
Is that what it was before? Is the game in 24 or in
Yes,
12?
It should be in 24.
Well, 10 should be 24.
But I definitely know that Guardian works with the poke on a real CoCo 3.
I'm not getting it.
Yeah, that's not working.
It must be something to do with your RAM. What do you got? A boomerang or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I reckon it might be that. Or is it SDC?
I'll share my.
Oh, the CoCo SDC could have something to do with it. Yeah.
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 Do that run #1 or whatever that Nick found.
One on that, yeah.
Try it with that, and then the
Okay.
poke to the vertical reg, and then try it. See what it does.
Oops, wrong disk.
I've got, if I can share my VCC, but someone's sharing already.
Yeah, hold on, I'll stop. Go ahead.
Okay.
painful. This.
Yeah, you don't have RGB palettes set properly, but
No, I didn't set the palettes. So
is it run at 1? Run at 1, is that what it?
Yeah. That takes it back to the prompt.
Is mine being shared at the moment?
Yeah, we see it, Nick.
Oh, you can see it. I don't know what you're saying.
Whatever that game
that's how
is.
I knew that you didn't do RGB first.
Yeah, that's it.
But can you try it on your real CoCo 3 just to make sure that works, Nick?
Yeah. I'll exit this.
Yeah, no, I'm still getting a weird border.
No, it's got to be the boomerang.
I have a boomerang too, so I can try this. Which game is this?
I'm trying Pack Tack.
Pack Tack?
Unless it's not, no, it's got to be an SG24 because I remember some really skinny lines in Pack Tack.
Yeah, it's SG24. So is Cave Hunter.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Hunter is 12. I just did Hunter.
Yeah.
You sure?
I just did Hunter. Yeah, I did SG 12.
Okay. I thought it was 24.
I always thought that Guardian and Protector were the only SG24 games.
So Pack Tack, the first one, just the binary one, the executable. Is that how you're running it, Stevie?
Well, I loaded it, and then I ran the poke FF9C, 10, and then I executed it, and then the screen just went weird on me.
Okay, I'm going to have to copy the SG games on. I don't have them on my CoCo 3, so I'll just copy the file across.
I need to get my computer going.
When I hit enter on the Pack Tack bin file, it just automatically runs. So yours didn't do that, huh?
You have to shift M to mount the disk image rather than just.
I didn't know he was manually doing. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's decimal 10 or is it hex 10?
Oh, that's a good question.
Decimal
10.
Were you doing hex?
Yeah, so it's doing and HFF9C, 10, right?
Yeah, just decimal 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and technically this is the vertical scroll register, which is why that never made sense to me. I figured the LPR, which actually defined the number of lines per text line, I thought would work. But
hey, is David Lord still there? David, are you there?
Yeah.
Hey, did you see we ran your version of the game a little while ago?
No, I was busy earlier.
I'll pull it up then. Yeah, I like it, man.
It's Stevie's version. I was just working on it.
Well, you've done more with it than I've done so far. So,
You have the version with scores?
Yeah. Okay. I'll fire that up again. So first I'll bring up the basic version just to get me in the disk. All right.
And what was the SD command to load regular disk color basic instead?
Run at 1 after you mount the disk.
Run at 1, yeah.
After you mount the disk.
That's it. Right. Assuming you've got that ROM in there.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Okay. I'll try Hunter again under the CoCo SDC.
Yeah, right now the speed in this Cosmic Aliens is really good. Especially with the double speed poke. I don't know if you can see it or not, David. Well, you know what it looks like. You made it, so. I hear the sound.
Well, Cave Hunter's working on my CoCo 3, and I've got the... so I activated SG12 when it's not the right mode, so I'll do it again under 24. So you were right, Curtis.
Of course.
Yeah,
I don't know. VCC's a bit shit out, so...
I figured it out. So I think the reason the poke wasn't working is because when you hit enter, it goes back to basic, which basic must be out of that poke. So what
I load him the game, and then at the prompt I do a poke, whatever the number, : exec. So
right, yeah, because basic probably resets the stupid.
yeah, basic would have reset it.
Right.
Ah, okay.
That's probably didn't work there, Stevie.
Yep.
All right.
So I'm about to try Guardian now.
That way it
makes
doesn't get out of basic. It stays.
Yeah, that's right.
Same as you do the poke on the VD or the VDG T1 compatible stuff to give you true lowercase, it immediately disappears as soon as it comes back to okay.
Yeah, basic resets it all the time.
Yeah, I figured it out because like when I did the poke for an instant, there was a flash on the screen, and then it went back to normal basic, and I could tell it was trying to do something and then going back to what it was before.
All right, so I'm going to load M pack tack. God damn it.
Well, Guardian's running, but
working properly or no?
it's not quite. No,
that's what I figured.
It's playing the music. What is it to start the game? Oh, I found it.
NHFF9C, 10.
Well, it's playing.
EXEC.
Is it a SG24
there we
game?
Go.
Or?
There we go.
Yeah.
And you notice that copyright 1981 computerware on the bottom between those bars is
the
missing.
text is not there. Okay. So this was not a boomerang issue. This was just a CoCo basic issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of running, but not quite right for Guardian.
Yeah. Can you see
Maybe
this
that's
good?
what the patches fix.
Lord Dragon, can you see this? Can you see my screen good?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So you see the real skinny one blue line there?
Yep.
That's a single pixel on a 192 pixel vertical screen. So this is the same vertical resolution as P Mode 4.
Wow, I had no idea CoCo could do that.
And so
hit the joystick button there, Stevie, and you can show them what the actual game looks like. Because as the maze drawn.
I have to plug in a joystick. So hold on.
Oh, okay.
So this mode was really cool. And there was a handful of halfway decent games. So Pack-Tac was one of them. There's another game called Storm, which is a clone of Tempest that was pretty good for this resolution. A couple of Defenders games, Cave Hunters, which is a variant of Pac-Man.
Spectrum Analyzer.
It's Audio Spectrum Analyzer, Neutroid.
Checkers 2, Guardian.
Well, what's the byte structure in video memory for that mode? What's like each byte?
It's exactly the same as SG4, except that you're doing one scan line at a time. That's the only difference.
Well, doesn't it take up 6K though because you're doing 192 lines?
You've got to do 192 lines instead of 16.
It takes up the same amount of RAM as a P Mode 4 screen. It's 6K.
So how many bytes equals 1 pixel?
It's just like in text mode where one byte is 2 pixels.
Yeah.
It's got the same color attributes as the normal text mode.
Yeah. It's SG4, except instead of doing a 12 line high block at a time, you're just doing one single scan line.
Yeah, so it's one scan line, just like a P Mode 4, say, 6K, except that you've got 8 colors available, not just
black.
2. Yeah.
Not if you include black.
The problem,
the
problem is I've never coded for SG4, so I don't even know what that is. That's why
SG4 is your standard text screen you boot up in.
It's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar to text mode, except you handle the pixels at a scan line per time.
Yeah, so I learned how to do semi-graphics on a CoCo 3 today. That's cool.
It can do it, yeah.
Yeah, except for Guardian. That stupid weird.
Guardian's a bit weird. I think that one, tickles a bit more than just the semi-graphic
it creates a virtual
stuff.
screen like the normal semi-graphics. All the semi-graphics modes are 32 bytes wide per scan line. Guardian sets it through some weird trickery to 42 bytes. And he did that specifically so he didn't have to do clipping checks. We could speed up the game. Because normally, if you have a ship going off one side of the screen, if you don't check for that, it'll wrap around on the next line on the other side of the screen, right? Wrap around.
Yeah.
He designed his shapes to fit within the extra bytes that he had in this overscan, because basically it's displaying the middle 32 out of 42. So he's got 5 extra bytes on either side. And he just has to check to see if you're totally off the screen or not. So he doesn't have to do these, trimming checks and only draw part of the shape. He just draws the whole shape no matter what. And the shapes are all small enough they'll never go past that 5 bytes, so they'll never wrap around.
Well, we've got Protector up there.
I hear it.
Yeah, that one looks good, even with missing text characters.
Well, it's not chopping the text up correctly, yeah. But it's brought up a lot of the graphics. Oh, actually, the spaceship comes up too.
Yeah, the spaceship's all color graphics, and the shooting things on the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah,
of
it
the
all
spaceship.
shoots.
The only thing you won't be able to see is your score and the humans you're trying to
Yeah.
rescue.
Yeah,
which
that's
unfortunately
right.
is a rather critical part of the game.
They're just a bunch of colored pixels.
Oh, you can actually see them?
Yeah, they're
I was
there,
wondering-
but instead of seeing
don't look like
they don't look like people. There's strips from the color. I have to set up my camera so you can see it, I guess. But and it is there. It is playable.
That's
What's
cool, 'cause
another
I thought it might not be playable. I thought you might not be able to see the people at all.
No, all the buildings show up and everything. Yeah. Everything shows up except the score and the little men.
What was the other Defender game that had like the mountains in the background and everything else? Was that Guardian?
No.
There was a semi-graphics game that was like a Defender where you had the mountains in the background and everything else.
That's Guardian, yeah.
That's Guardian. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this sucks because now I have to get a real CoCo 2 somehow.
Or wait for the Gimme X.
Yeah, the Gimme X will solve that problem.
Yeah. John Lowry has joined us, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Since Mark, Mark,
to actually meet you guys all for real. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Glad I got in here.
Absolutely.
Well, we've talked a lot on Discord.
Mm-hmm. Never got to speak though with my words.
Use your words,
That's
Lord
okay,
Dragon.
Exactly. Sometime I'll have to show you guys my progress on my projects.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you're doing your OS9 disk basic file utility, weren't you?
Yep, I am. I sort of switch around. I work a little bit on that. I work a little bit on my block style game I'm trying to do. And little
Plus,
stuff.
you got the same problem the rest of us do, where we keep getting distracted with side projects and nothing ever gets done. I know what you're talking about.
Yep, all the time.
Whenever you need to take a break from your main project, just crank out a cheap semi-graphic knockoff in a week's time, and it just really helps.
Yeah,
works for me.
Charge the batteries.
Make graphics Tetris or something.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I'm getting intrigued with games that use platforms. You know, so the Farfall game, I liked Farfall. I like Waterfall. The thing about those games though is the tablets or the platforms are kind of coming up, right? So you're falling and the platforms are coming up, so they're kind of scrolling up. I've seen another game that some kids were playing on a mobile phone where it's a similar style Farfall or whatever type thing, but you got to keep bouncing yourself up. So you got to keep going up. And when you jump up in the air, you know, it scrolls and you still have the same leap of faith thing. Like, am I going to land on something? But the difference is that the platform, you know, the screen's scrolling down as you're jumping up and you hope you land on something above you.
Yeah, and the platforms get less and less as you
Yeah,
go.
So I think it'd be kind of neat to do something like that on the CoCo. I like the whole idea of, you know, having to make a platform at some point in time and not knowing if the platforms are going to be there, and then to further complicate that by adding some type of risk and reward where if I jump over here to the side, I might grab this pick-me-up thingy that is going to give me either more points or, you know, give me an extra life, or a parachute where if I fall, I can fall slower, you know, things like that. So I like the whole idea of dealing with platforms. So the gears are turning in my head on some type of platform thing. And again, I'm really good at coming up with ideas, but then having to actually commit to coding it and doing it, then you might as well just forget it. So
Yeah, I started out the game I'm trying to work on is I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Clickomania. It was kind of popular in late 90s, early 2000s in like colleges and stuff. And it's sort of like reverse Tetris, where you get a whole grid of colored squares, and any two together, if you click on them, it'll eliminate them. And the idea is to, you know, it's kind of like, you know, Candy Crush type.
Okay, yeah.
But not quite. It's a little different. So, it's fairly simple. It's just blocks and eliminating stuff. But then I'm like, well, it'd be cool to have like an animation of the blocks disintegrating. And then it's like, well, then, it'd be cool to learn how to do, have the blocks actually, animate and fall and all this stuff. And then the next thing you know, now it's like, oh my God, now I have, like you said, Steve, I have all these ideas of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And then it takes forever. And I get distracted.
So I made a game years ago on the CoCo as a kid that I called Death Pit. And what it had was just platforms that scrolled randomly from side to side. And you could jump up and down. You would automatically fall. You could steer yourself with the joystick. So if you were on a platform and you kept your joystick moving, you could stay with the platform. But if you stood still, the platform would move from underneath you. And if you stood there, you would end up falling. And so there were 2 stationary platforms at the top of the screen. There was a bunch of side-scrolling platforms vertically throughout the screen. On the bottom, I had just drawn a bunch of spikes like a death pit. So if you hit the bottom, you would hit the spikes and you would die. I got as far as making all of that, and your object was to get to, you started on the bottom, you had to get all the way to the top, and on either side of the top, you would have to grab a little pickup to pick up a prize, and then you would start off at the bottom again, and you'd keep going. And it was a neat idea. And at the time, I had not seen too many games like that with moving platforms. I mean, now there's lots of platform-style games, but at the time I wrote that version, it was pretty. I'm not saying they didn't exist. I just didn't see them. So to me, it seemed like a fairly original idea at the time. And I actually ended up rewriting it again in Quick Basic for DOS years later, and made it better. And I had platforms that would disappear over time, and it would get faster over time and things like that. But it was just missing certain elements. Like there wasn't a lot of objectives. You kind of just played because you could, not because you wanted to. So I had not really put anything in the game that make you want to play. Like when you play Popstar Pilot, you have these greed elements where, oh man, I want to get this, or I want to do that, or I need to get this fuel. And there's things you have to do, and then there's things you want to do, and there's things that cause you to leave the safety to take certain risks. And so it was missing some elements like that. So that would be a style of game that I would like to do, and I could probably pull it off halfway decent in BASIC. And then, as I learn assembly, do more of that. But I would like to do a version of my Death Pit game.
Stevie,
yeah.
Have you considered using the cross-platform version of Arcade Game Designer? At least take a look at it.
I did not know there was one.
The Spectrum one, you mean?
They have a cross-platform version of Arcade Game Designer with different targets and stuff, and
meaning like you could output it to the PC?
Or
is it still for retro platforms?
PC, but it would be output to like the Dragon, 8 bits. You wouldn't be doing one for the PC.
Okay. No, I didn't know. I tell you, when I look at those Arcade Game Designer games, I almost would like to get a Spectrum emulator and just play the Spectrum versions, because that's how they were designed, and that's where the colors are and the music is.
That's where the first version of the Arcade Game Designer came from.
Right.
And that's where most of the people are doing development, and they've been doing it for years. The more recent versions, are the Dragon and CoCo and Acorn Atom, and nobody's redone the graphics, and hardly anybody on those platforms are doing anything. So if you design the graphics from the beginning to use like artifacting or a standard CoCo or Dragon mode, then they would be in those colors.
They would look proper. Yeah. No. So is that available? Is the CoCo version out there?
Let me double check and see. I've got the page up here.
Is that Rail Runner, Nick?
Yeah, he works as well.
I forgot about that one.
What about the for the chomper thing where you're eating the hot dogs and stuff with the teeth and the mouth?
What's that game?
Oh, that was from Rainbow. Junk food.
Junk food.
Oh. It was
I don't have that one. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, I'll find out.
That's a Semigraphics 24 as well.
24? Okay. Interesting. The the first one I had up there just before that tube one, that one even uses draws a score. It doesn't use the text.
Okay, so it's got graphical scoring.
So that one was correct. Yeah, that one works fine.
That's a clever way to get around that limitation.
Yeah.
Well, that's the idea. Use the graphics to also do the score. Don't cheat and just use the text mode.
So technically, when you're doing an SG24 screen, you're moving just as much data as if you were doing a P Mode 4 screen. It's 6K worth of data.
Well, that's running, but it's probably not the. I don't know how you play it.
You gotta
eat everything but the purple pickles.
I'm not sure if I have the joystick in the right place either. Oh well,
that's what she said.
Oh yeah. Here I am over this side.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to do? Eat the purple ones?
No,
Whoops.
No, eat everything but the purple ones.
Yeah.
But
avoid.
the purple. So I made that the first one I ate.
I've never even heard of some of these games. This is cool. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I can eat that one, right?
Fun.
Did we ever do a semi-graphic showcase back in the day when we did a couple of our showcases?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember.
I don't know if we covered all of the games out there, but we did.
Yeah, we did a handful of some. So I've got some YouTube videos where Curtis and Nick and I reviewed a handful of semi-graphics games. I think it's actually called Semi-Graphic Showcase, and it should be on my YouTube channel somewhere. Hey, it's been joined by Mikey. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Hi.
Man,
I was looking for the buttons, mute, video, etc.
Hey, Mikey.
How you guys doing?
All the way out in San Jose.
That's right.
Did you avoid all the earthquakes?
Nothing going on here.
No?
All down south.
Oh, wow. Were there casualties of this most recent earthquake? I know they were pretty strong.
That's some injuries. I don't think any casualties.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard.
I haven't heard.
Okay. Well, hopefully not, right?
Yeah.
One semi-graphics thing I was going to mention, too, that I don't think anybody has, but I remember Dwayne Downing, whom Stevie's kind of met online. He had a version of Forth by Hoyt Stearns Electronics back in the day, and the guy did his text editor in semi-graphics so that he could put a cursor underneath the character as you're editing. It's like this underlying cursor that would move around.
Oh, that's neat.
So it's kind of an interesting use of the semi-graphics mode.
Using a graphics mode just for a minor text enhancement.
Yeah,
Right.
he printed all the regular text. The whole character would fit there, but then he'd use the bottom line or two in semi-graphics 24, 12 camera, which one he used, to put like an orange underline or something so you could see where your cursor was when you're editing.
Oh, that's neat.
That's actually funny you say that because I'm right now working on a little tool because I'm thinking of having kind of a menu system option in my file utility, like sort of like have a couple columns, kind of like the SDC Explorer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it in like a text mode. And I'm going to use like the attributes of the column mode in the CoCo 3 to have sort of some colors and some borders and things like that. But to sort of have an idea of what it's going to look like and where I'm going to put text and colors and whatnot, I wanted a way to sort of, paint on an 80 column mode. So I wrote this little program where you can use the arrow keys and move a blinking cursor around and you type. And when you go back, it doesn't overwrite the character. All it does is blink a white cursor there. So you always know where you are on the screen without actually deleting anything, and then you can sort of draw a picture.
Yeah, because the hardware text modes, like you're talking the 4080 column mode on the CoCo 3.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 2 bytes per character. 1 byte's your ASCII character that's actually being printed. Their second byte's your attribute, like just blink, underline, foreground color, background color.
Exactly. Yeah, so basically I just pull the second byte from memory, and then I just mask off, the rest of the stuff, and then I just, or in the blink code. And the underline code. I basically use the underline as sort of the cursor.
Yeah. The other thing you could do is just change the background color, the foreground color, so that you've got your cursor, blue,
like
for example.
inverted or something.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. That would work too.
Yeah.
A block.
That's the way OS 9's editor does it.
Yeah, like block style cursor instead of.
Hey, Sean Ernst has joined us in the live chat. Hey, Sean, how are you? Yeah, that pack tack looks pretty good.
Yeah, it works fine. It's just missing the score. That's all, but it works.
Yeah, and you got to squeeze in an RGB in that command line too to get the palettes right.
Yeah. So I'll just try it again and see how different it is.
Stevie, can you zoom his screen up so everybody else can see it nice and clear?
Let's see. Let's see if I can spotlight Nick Marionettes here.
Oh, crikey!
What was it? Pack tack.
You got a load M on there.
The up arrow is not going to work.
Oh, it's not,
you
is
got
it?
an up arrow on there, yeah.
Well, you could try it. See what it does.
Custom. You need a load M too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's just I got the camera to my side, so I'm typing sideways.
Oh, I thought maybe you're just a beginner and you're still learning this CoCo stuff.
Yeah.
well, that's what it is, but I'm using the other one as an excuse.
So you need
FF9C, comma, and this was 24. So blast! Except I forgot to put the.
Now you hit the upper. Oh no, you're not running else.
No, I didn't. I didn't hit the exec in the same line.
Now do
Basic,
and the RGB. Don't
do
forget
an
the
RGB in there, and then you an RGB.
Yeah, I had that. Well, let's put it in just again. I did do it at the start, but
you did. Okay.
Yeah, just do that just to be sure. There we go. Does
Now
that
you
look
got-
right?
now you got the right colors. Yep, that looks good.
Oh, okay.
That looks
Well,
good.
look at you showing off with your CM8 door.
That's
This
your.
is,
Yeah,
semi
he's just rubbing
graphics.
it in now.
Mine works. Mine works.
Look at him and his full set of teeth showing off.
This is SG24.
Yeah,
24. Yep.
on a CoCo 3.
And who did this?
Well, this is PackTech. This is computerware
1981,
from
I'm trying to remember who wrote
That is
it.
amazing.
one of the first
So-
Pac-Man games for the CoCo. Yeah.
Yeah, even his Apple bonus shape looks pretty good up in the upper right corner.
It's not bad actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to
It
believe.
plays pretty well.
Yeah, and you don't see a lot of flickering or anything. I don't think it's double.
No,
buffer.
it's quite well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You
you
should
can.
show protectors too, though. It was zoomed up like this, so everybody can see it, because that's probably the
Oh,
most.
you want to
impressive.
see that too? I'll run that again. Whoops, I'm dead now.
You can page flip just like you can on graphics screens, and get a
Okay,
nice.
RGB.
In fact, you could switch between color sets between the two of them. Like if you want to add those orange and red, dark red stuff, and kind of get you some extra colors too.
No, don't forget the poke.
Sure do.
He's kind of slow, but he gets it eventually.
Now it's a 24. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
this one.
10.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, obviously that's meant to be text.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the underlining where the text was,
They're the people.
with no description.
Wow.
But that was well done, this game.
Oh yeah.
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 Look at the graphical detail they pushed in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like the ground.
That is,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they've done well with that.
that is excellent.
I mean, for only 64 pixels wide, but
Oh, boss.
and that
192.
explosion used the
Asterisks and some of the other
Yeah.
characters.
Come on, Ed, get that Gimme X out so we can play this game.
The Gimme X.
Well, we're playing it right now. I mean, it's working.
Yeah, but I want to see the scores. I want to see the people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's up to Ed.
So there's the people there on the buildings, right?
Yeah, that's all
You
that
can see them.
that shows for them.
They used to
And
look
then
like
the reason
little.
it's flashing is it's actually was changing the characters to make it look like the guy's waving his arms.
Yeah, it looks like
So
he was waving his hands at you.
I'm killing them all.
Yeah, screw them. People
Stop them.
suck.
They don't want to show me their full body. They can die.
Oh, if the aliens attack the Earth, we know that Nick's going to be on their side.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's some aliens. The aliens. Well, this mothership comes out.
Yeah, you just freeze him for a bit. And when
Oh,
the
is that
volcano
all?
goes off, that's a pretty cool effect too.
Oh, where's the volcano? Whoops.
Right, it hasn't erupted yet though. Yet
Oh, okay.
there's the volcano.
That
But
was
eventually
cool
it
what
erupts
they done
right up.
there.
Yeah. Oh,
Gotcha.
it got me. Yeah,
Awesome.
pretty good. I like the AI in this. But it works. It's just the text missing. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did an amazing job using even just the graphical shapes to get some really cool looking background terrain that looks almost like a full blown Atari 2600 game or something with extra colors.
Okay,
it's certainly a usable mode as long as you design the graphics and pick games which suit the horizontal, scrolling.
Yeah,
What
see,
else is a good one?
That's the thing. It's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Fire Drac. Try that.
Yeah, do the
Fire
Fire
Drac's the hardest one.
Is it? Oh, great.
That's
that's a weird one.
Okay.
Yeah, the controls
That's why
are
they have
really
the
weird.
instruction file there, so you can read the instructions.
You got to do a dash.
Oh, you
not
mean
a
I've got to
colon.
read instructions? Okay, let's do another one. What should I try?
Junk food look good.
Junk food? Okay.
Junk food look good.
First of all, do RGB. And
Room Tube's not bad if you like Tempest. I mean, it's one I wouldn't have thought would have worked with that mode, but it's actually not bad.
Junk food. Oops. Junk food.
I think we have to, with our patron subscriber money here, we have to send Nick a
Don't forget the poke. You forgot the poke.
Oh, I did too.
Crikey, Nick.
Blast.
And obviously that game's set for cassette because when that spinning character,
obviously
this timer.
I've got to modify my P Mode 3 program to also do semi-graphics and put the poke in so at least you can half play them.
Yeah. Don't forget the poke.
Okay, so RGB, a poke, and hex FF9C, 24.
Okay, comma 10.
SG24 rather, yep.
Ooh.
No, give it a sec. It's still initializing, I'd say. I ran this just before. Yeah.
Yeah, just we can see it shrunk down.
Yeah, you can see it better now. So we got the hot dogs.
That was well done too. That
Absolutely.
And this was a freebie.
graphic wise.
This is a freebie in Rainbow.
Yeah, so you can even see the number of chompers up there in the top left, so you see your remaining
Oh,
lives.
shit.
That's really good.
But yeah, semi-graphics, despite what some people say, it does work on a CoCo 3, well, 90% of the way anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff, Nick. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nick Marionettes there for us. So.
That's right.
What's that shootout game? Is that a semi-graphics game? I don't know that one.
Let's find out. I haven't played these before. Shootout,
every other one I recognize, but that one I don't remember.
Shootout? No, that's Craig Stewart's game, isn't it?
Where's Shootout?
By the way, ROM is on there specifically to run those games that have the disk timer screw up because it actually disables the disk ROM. So if you load that first, you can actually run some of these.
Oh, I wonder if we should do that first and then try Guardian again.
That might work, that one.
We can try it.
Okay.
What does ROM do?
That changes the CoCo into 64K RAM mode if you had a CoCo 1 and 2, and then disables disk basic. And if you had a cartridge game, it would actually load it up to where the cartridge normally would sit in memory for compatibility purposes.
Oh, okay.
Rombot program name. Oh, well, I'm not going to be able to put my pokes in.
You just... Well, see if it's going to work first, because it doesn't work with everything. If the game's too big, it'll screw up.
Well, we're not going to see anything.
Ah.
Load from tape or disk.
Okay.
We don't have the way that you'd have to do those pokes.
Oh, well, that is text mode. That's not semi-graphics yet.
Yeah, that's what I was getting. That's what I was getting.
It's running, but we need to turn on the semi-graphics
before you execute ROM.
But the thing is, I think I had that before.
You still can't do all the people because it doesn't do the text part, and they're made up of part of the text characters.
In Guardian?
No,
Guardian.
Isn't that right?
No, that's Protector.
Protector's 2, that's true, but Guardian
is...
is...
that's Protector, okay.
Okay, if I do... Did that auto start? I can't remember now.
No.
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't. Good. So I'll hit RGB. I'll do the poke. And we want semi 24 or
10. Yeah.
Yes.
10. Yep.
20. Yeah, I guess. I mean, Guardian's technically a weird mode that's not any of those, but
Okay. So now we're not going to see the menus, I assume, when this boots. So can you remember what they said before?
now it's asking for the name of the program, so type in Guardian.
And
then D for disk.
No, I think it might have crashed.
Then hit the space bar a couple times.
No. Oh, hang on.
There's the Guardian screen.
Hold your horses.
That's the title. Yeah.
Yeah, it says Guardian, but it's off the screen.
Yeah.
How do we start the damn? Here we go. Hang on.
Holy shit! There it is.
The overscan is screwing it up.
Overscan is screwing it up, but we can see it.
Yeah.
That's close.
Yeah.
It's close. Yeah.
There's your scan lens you like so much, Stevie.
That's a lot of aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my joystick keeps flying to the top, so I don't know why.
Is it auto centering? You probably just have the one pot set too high.
No, well, I've got my my Waco.
Oh, okay. Does it have an adjustable center?
No, it's a digital stick. So yeah, probably if I plug in a proper joystick, but yeah, it clearly isn't quite right.
That's better than we would have expected for a CoCo.
It's
3.
definitely running. It's just the wrong video mode. So yeah, Guardian must do a few extra things.
Yeah, the overscan I think is screwing it up.
Yeah.
Because it's a
there you go.
Chips, or is that just is there supposed to be 3 chips like that?
I'm going to try it without running that thing.
Maybe do the run at 1 too to get rid of. You're already done that, right?
I haven't. I'm still running it under. Oh, well, we can do. Yeah. Hang on. Just make sure I've got the right disc mounted. Okay. Mine's a run at 4.
Okay.
Okay. Better hit RGB.
What does
Load.
4 do?
It runs the ROM that's in bank 4 in my case.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, you can have alternate DOSs there, like if you wanted ADOS or DOS or
no, poke. Don't forget the poke, Nick.
Geez, if you code like this, it's a wonder you get anything done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon. All smoke and mirrors.
Stevie's his secret developer. Nick just takes all the credit.
Let's see what's going on. There's the Guardian.
It pretty well looks the same this part.
So far, so good. It's
Much
still,
the same.
It's still overscanned. Okay.
Yeah.
All the other games should work though.
But Curtis gave me a poke years ago that was not using the vertical reg. You had to do another poke first because it was something to do with the timing side of things, and it corrected the timing, and you could actually get the game to load up properly.
Yeah, I'd
full
say
screen.
I'd say that's right. Yeah, there's probably one extra poke for Guardian anyway.
And it was to poke the game from 400 to E00 because it overwrites disk basic or something, and it corrupts the whole
lot. That's what
lot.
the ROM program does. Is it?
I think that's what that ROM. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I used that a ton back in the day.
But I only used the poke. I never used anything else. I just used the poke to go from 400 to E00, and then you poke the vertical reg in and worked perfectly fine.
I honestly don't remember this.
You told me years ago to test it out. For some reason, I don't know. I just happened to be online at the time in the chat room on Roger's website before he sold it. And you just told me these pokes to give it a go to see what it was like. And it
I
worked.
probably got them from Sock actually, because Sock's the one who told me about that trick.
Yeah. Because what it'll do is it'll work, but it'll crash after a couple minutes or something. But with this poke, it actually let the game play indefinitely.
Gunstar.
We're going to see the real Gunstar and real hardware, huh?
How much further did you get today?
They do crash into you now. I've just got one little bug to fix and a few little things to tidy up. I'm ready for the next blog.
The battle.
I love your blog, Nick. That's so cool. Just because I'm learning assembly myself. It's great to just learn and watch the progress as you just one step after another. Wow, that's awesome.
It's too bad you don't get a picture of my head as well. You can see the hair slowly falling out.
Side effect of 689 coding.
Wow, that's awesome.
Look how smooth that scrolling is.
Wow, aliens.
Now, maybe I should turn the volume up a bit. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Problem with the aliens before.
So they do hit me, and my energy at the top starts dropping if I crash. See, and bang, bang, two hits. At the moment, even when it goes to 0, you don't blow up yet because I haven't got that routine in yet. So,
is the entire map stored in RAM? I mean, it has to be, right? I mean,
yeah, it is. And this is tile based, and it's a looping segment.
Okay.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
And did you design all the graphics yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's going to be 4 levels, so this is only some of the graphics.
I like the eyes; they look good.
Yeah, the eyes will come in towards the end. I shouldn't be showing that yet, but well, what the hell?
As long as we don't see the mothership.
VIP.
Yeah, the mothership's not. It's in there, but I haven't got it coming up in this. This is just endless over and over more aliens while I test it.
Are you 100% sure you haven't got the wrong one loaded up?
Yeah, no, I am.
Because you'd hate to spoil it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it a bit of a surprise, but
does David Ladd make an appearance?
Sorry?
Does David Ladd make an appearance in the final version?
I was thinking of that.
That creepy voice of his.
The creepy voice of his too.
Yeah, put that in there.
I know, but I thought, no, let's get serious.
Is he like
maybe a special
final boss? You have to
version
battle
later.
David Ladd. Is that?
Get him to do that creepy voice and go, "You are now mine." When the mothership comes out.
I did think of that, but then I thought the alien really doesn't speak English, so I'm trying to keep it
Have you
semi-realistic.
heard floppy talk? I'm not sure Sir David does either.
Yeah.
I gotta say the scrolling is real smooth, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you still have a lot of overhead or free overhead.
Yeah, I haven't. It hasn't slowed down. I can have I've had about 10 aliens up there and shooting and everything else, and it hasn't slowed down yet. So,
yeah. Alan Huffman's asking what game this is. This is Gunstar, his current project in development.
That's pretty cool having that amount and the slow down. There's no slow down.
Not yet. No.
Running.
6309, baby.
Yeah.
Well, 6309 does help. Yeah.
Is that how you're scrolling the screen?
Advantage of that, I did. Oh, that's cool.
Look, it could be done on a 6809, but I'd have to take some bits out,
right,
to keep the number of aliens and the sound effects and everything.
Yeah, he's using TFM here to do the blasting.
The actual engine that's running under there relies on TFM.
What's TFM?
The speed.
Transfer multiple.
Oh.
It's a memory copy instruction.
God, oh.
But it's interruptible, which means your sound routine can still run in the middle of a single instruction.
Yeah, it's really great.
I'd love to have that in my project.
We use it a lot in Nitrous 9 too. That's how come Basic 9 and some other programs can do fairly fast graphics in there.
Yeah,
it's our future.
And the fact that it's a tile based helps too, because you're just
How many
I'll
unique
look up
tiles
on
are there total in one map?
Oh yeah, you wouldn't do it as a bitmap. Well, it is ultimately a bitmap, but I mean, you wouldn't map it unless you have something like tiles.
right, because you're reading a whole tile and just
Too much RAM, yeah.
You read a single byte and it tells you how to draw like a 16 by 16 shape just based
And
on
what I can do, if I can bring that up, show you the editor for the levels.
So for the smooth scrolling, do you detect ahead of time which version of Gimme the CoCo has, and then
No,
scrolling at all.
Yeah, it's not using any of the hardware of the Gimme.
Oh,
This is all software driven.
That's amazing. Do you have to count the clock cycles for all the routines to get it?
I haven't done so yet.
That is pretty That's pretty good. If it's software controlled for the scrolling.
I'll just let it load. It's going to try to extract. Oh, hang on.
Uh-oh.
I stuck it in the wrong drive, didn't I? Okay, I'll just do it again. I should have put it in the other disk. There. Is that right? And oh, you mongrel. That was me doing that. Hang on.
Can't do a CONT continue at that point when that happens.
I would have thought so. I'm just wondering why I'm getting an error now.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, okay. Yeah, now I'm wrong drive letters again. I haven't edited for a while, so I've forgotten the order I have to put the discs.
Ease of use.
No, it's just I've got to get into the editing of the graphics for levels 2, 3, and 4, but I haven't done it for a while, so I forgot the order I had the discs. So that's okay.
So you're actually designing the graphics on a real CoCo itself. That's pretty
Well, yeah, everything's on the real CoCo.
nice.
Even does the editor assembler on the real CoCo.
Man,
Which is...
oh, that's hardcore, man.
Man,
Sucker
I'm
for
stupid.
punishment.
So if you've still got some cycles to spare, you reckon you could have some sort of vehicles driving around on the roads as you're scrolling through?
That will chew up a fair bit doing that. But the other thing is they're spare at the moment, but then I haven't finished the game yet. So by the time I'm finished, I'll end up using all of it. Yeah, so I'm supposed to have this disk in as drive 1, and then I run this. And now it will find the tiles. And,
Frankie.
Ease of use.
You need to capture those errors.
But this is already 30 seconds. I quit and go on to something else. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You just carry on, and I'll try and get it going.
Do you have a hard-coded drive number in your line 1800 or whatever that is?
No. I'll fix it. Don't worry. Look, I'm getting a bit confused here. I have an audience. That's a problem.
Murphy showed up.
Okay.
No pressure.
Breathe. It's that one I should have mounted, and now it will work. You watch.
Famous last words.
Trust me.
This is it. I feel it. Yep.
Oh,
there we go.
What I should do, it won't be able to find the tiles until I run the game. So I'll just run the game first. Yeah, well, see, I don't load the tiles. I just extract them from what's in memory. So I'll just run the game, yeah. And then I'll boot out of it and then run the editor.
This is a great popcorn movie here.
What do you got?
Okay.
What do you got?
All right. So we can reset out, go to drive 0, run map edit. And now it will find the graphics in memory. And we just have to wait for it to extract it because it's just a basic program. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll just move the camera.
Yeah.
Let me put my glasses on.
Hang on. Yeah, so it's reading in memory where the game was and just extracting the tiles that are in memory and decoding them.
Oh, wow.
So I'll just let it do that, and so you'll see it.
We can kind of see your reflection in there too, Nick.
Oh, sorry about that. That's right.
So you actually compress the graphics
Not compress. I convert them to RLE because it's quicker to read the data if they're in a RLE format rather than this tile format.
Okay.
But yeah, this program extracts it all and displays it properly so that when I'm editing a map, I see the graphics the way they are. So what we have, I'll just try move around a bit. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, this whole band will have all the tiles used in the game. Currently, all I've done is this much, which is for level 1. So when level 2, 3, and 4 go in, I'll put the remaining graphics in here. And the graphics I drew up on I use my Amiga to edit the tiles. I'm just used to it. I've been using an Amiga for so long, so I just keep using that. But yeah, eventually there'll be graphic tiles all down the side here. So everything you saw just before for level 1, that's all the graphics that it used. And now it's reading the actual map data in memory from the game and actually decoding what the map will look like. And that's 2 screens worth. So the first screen is that, and there's 10 of them. And it scrolls that in the program. So what I do here is I select the tile I'm going to use. So I've got a cursor and I choose a tile, and then I switch across to this side where you can see the cursor's gone down there, and you just position this to wherever you want, and you insert tiles, which I've got to remember what the buttons were to insert them. Arrow key.
I for insert.
I don't think I was that logical. Oh, it was just space. It was just space.
Bar. Yeah.
So I can just keep stamping that out, or I go back and I pick another icon. Let's pick some of these pipes. Say, let's do a horizontal one here. This one, and then come back here and just put a few pipes. Then go back. Hey,
lay in some pipe.
That's right. Pick another pipe and then come back down here. I'm trying to move the camera at the same time and point to things. So you add that in there.
You need a tripod.
Yeah, well, I need to put the camera right in front of the screen. That's the problem. I haven't got a proper stand. But yeah, you can see I'm sort of building that. And I can look at all 10 screens. I can just choose another screen, say screen 4, and it'll just redraw and decode the map data from screen 4, and that'll show screen 4 and 5. And I just edit the graphics based on the tiles on that side of the screen.
So do you have some sort of like file that indicates which tiles go where? Like when you could.
Yeah. If I just break out and look at the disk in drive 1. So of all the files, I have 2. Well, I've got there's 2 files in there called map data. I don't know if you can see it with the glare on the screen, but yeah, the map data 1.map and map data 2.map stores the actual data, which tells it which of those tiles go in, where, and then the tiles themselves are stored in the graphics file. But it's just a basic program. I just always so it's just in basic.
Wow.
Yeah, and you just run it, and it'll be level 1 again. I won't reload the tiles because I can just press enter, and there it is, straight back.
Wow. I'm actually trying to figure out how to dump an 80 column screen, 20 or 80 by 28 with attributes to disk so that I can save.
Yeah, that's.
Huh?
Well, you've got to. The 80 column screen is stored in the higher areas of memory, so you're going to have to bank in. I haven't got my maps here at the moment, but wherever those banks are, you have to allocate an area of memory or protect memory for a certain point in memory. Say FF, what is it? In the upper memory, and then
I think it's
bank in those bits of screen memory and save them because they'll be in a 64K address space then.
Yeah, so like but basically preserve the original and then access the disk and then swap the original.
Yeah, while you've got it up on the screen, you can then bank them into a lower RAM and save that area of lower RAM. To put it back, you have to bank in that RAM and then load, and it'll load into the correct place.
The high-res text screen starts at 6E000.
Yeah. So, and what memory bank is that? 30 something hex. Yeah. It should be 34, 35, 36. Is it 38?
Not sure.
No, I can't remember. I haven't got my maps here. But yeah, whatever they are, you have to bank them into standard 64K address space and then save the RAM. And you do the same thing for high-res graphics as well.
Exactly. A buddy of mine actually came up with a trick because the 6809 you can have multiple origin statements. And so he came up with this way to load a 32K graphic by inserting an origin to point to the MMU, bank in, and then load 8K.
Yes.
And then do another origin back at the MMU to punch in a new value to select the next 8K bank and then load the next 8K chunk.
Yes.
And so you could have one file instead of 4.
And as it's loading, it's banking and loading into those banks. Yeah.
Exactly. Which I thought was a pretty neat trick.
It's pretty neat. Yeah. I just use BASIC to load my programs in. It's just easy to change things, but it does mean I have all the files on the disk.
And
rather than just one file, which who cares?
Yeah, you don't need the speed. It's fast enough.
No, it's still fast enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I remember I wrote a program once where you, when you ran the program, it would turn on the P Mode 4 screen, but it wouldn't clear it. And so whatever graphics were there, you could select, like basically draw a box around an area and then hit enter. And when you hit enter, it would write a basic program full of data statements that would basically save out the data for that like sprite.
Yeah. Yeah, I use that poke too. Like when I run that program again, it just flashes up because I didn't change the screen, and the poke stops the H screen command from erasing the screen.
Yeah.
So it's just instant back on.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff. I was getting close to midnight for me, which means I'll be turning into a pumpkin soon, and my eyelids are starting to get heavy.
Same thing.
Do we anything else we want to talk about? I know one of the things I wanted to do, which we didn't even get into, was to try to use the trackball and do some games on the trackball I got today from Brian Weasler. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. I'm just too tired to start trying to play games now. So actually, we had a fairly good coding talk, where even though we maybe didn't do a lot of coding, we talked about coding. We got to see some code samples, and so this was a good CoCo coding session, I'd say.
Yeah, and next time, if you'd like to have me back, I can show you some of my code and what I'm doing.
Absolutely, anytime, man. You're always welcome.
No, thank you, appreciate that. Thanks so much for being here today too. It was really nice meeting you guys.
Well, likewise. Get to see some stuff from Gary Neal, some of the stuff he's been working on. Yeah. Sneak peeks of Nick Marenti's working project. So got to see some of my stuff that David Lord had worked on for my Cosmic Aliens, which has given me some inspiration and some ideas. So that's cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So we get to see David Ladd in a tie, looking dapper there. So David Ladd.
I posted the arcade game designer info in the YouTube chat and over on the chat for Zoom.
Yes, let me go ahead and bookmark that. It looks a hell of a lot better on the Spectrum.
Well, they're only doing 2 colors, and they haven't converted the graphics to like a artifact mode or anything.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna head out
Yeah.
of here, get some sleep. So, thanks again for letting me participate, and I'm sure I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks.
Good night, guys.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we're gonna thank you all for being out there in the live audience too. We got 11 people with us on YouTube. We've got, it must be a few more on Facebook. So for those of you who watch this, I want to say thank you and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're sorry. Yeah. L. Curtis Boyle, any parting thoughts? You're muted, Curtis. You're still muted.
I think he's trying to say Nitrous 9 rules.
Okay, 2
Ease
thumbs
of
up.
use.
2 thumbs up from L. Curtis. All right, Mikey. Mikey's a developer, coder kind of guy. We haven't heard too much from him today.
Yeah. Been kind of busy
Yeah.
with other
You
things.
hear me now?
We can hear you now, Curtis. Unfortunately.
I had to unplug the mic and plug it back in again. Now, I wasn't muted on Discord. I wasn't muted on my mic, so I don't know what the heck was going on.
Damn Mac OS.
It's a bug.
Hey now.
PC mics.
You guys want to see my crazy lab right now?
Yeah.
How do I turn this thing around? Button. There we go. I have a really crazy thing hooked up to this CoCo right now.
An FPGA board.
Yeah, the FPGA board's hooked up to the CoCo. I made an adapter board over here.
Cool. Holy mad scientist, Batman.
Yeah.
Yep.
That a
Are you hacking into Skynet right now?
No, but I'm running Nitrous 9.
All you need is a strike of lightning, and it'll become alive. Like
It's alive! It's alive!
Yeah, so I'm doing some really interesting stuff over here.
Top secret stuff.
Yeah, top secret.
Military grade encryption going on here, and
he's secretly making Gunstar 2. His goal is to have it released before Nick releases his.
It'll shoot you through your headphones.
Is that the EOU version of Nitrous?
No, this is a CoCo 2 I have here on the desk. So this is CoCo VGA.
So you're running 64 column?
The 64 column mode. I don't know how.
Nice.
That looks nice.
It does.
Looks better than a 80.
Are you running the 639 version or 689 version?
It says there.
6309.
running in 6809 mode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dave and I submitted the patch to do with the TFM on the 64 column screen, so it scrolls a lot faster.
Yeah, so I have the CoCo VGA here.
Nice. Looking good, Mikey.
Cool.
Any new updates on Pi drive wire or Mikey term or anything like that?
I did do a couple small updates and a couple of small bug fixes, but I don't have a schedule for the next version of Pi drive wire, and I definitely need to do some work on DW term.
Okay.
To make it do more things, as it's behind some of the other terminal emulators at this point.
Okay, so that's for like if you're gonna use your CoCo to telnet into a BBS or something like that. Is that what that is?
Yeah. So DW term is a terminal program for RS-DOS, which uses the DriveWire serial protocol to communicate out. So you run the DriveWire server on your PC, and then you can run this program under RS-DOS.
Oh, I understand. So it's not like you're booting into OS 9 and using DriveWire modules to use some other terminal program, and yeah.
Right.
Very cool.
Right. It doesn't. It's under RS-DOS. So.
Yeah, as far as we know, the only one of its kind.
Right, because people, 2 years ago or so, people on here were saying, you could never do that. It's not possible. And turned out a year before you guys said that, I had already done it.
Challenge accepted.
Did you have to implement like all of the kind of API protocols and stuff for accessing the server? Do you have to do that manually and reverse engineer it, or?
The protocol is documented. On the SourceForge page for DriveWire. They have a whole specification that describes the protocol. So it didn't have to be reverse engineered, but DW term is written in C, so I had to write some code to do stuff to access that. And the actual communication itself, the actual read and write routines, those are in assembly language. So
so you wrote all that from scratch. That's awesome.
The DriveWire routines I did not write. There's a standard. The ones that are the ones everybody kind of uses the same ones.
Okay, gotcha.
In HDB DOS and Nitrous 9 and I think Physix does its own thing, but HDB DOS and Nitrous 9 they use the same code.
Gotcha.
For communicating over DriveWire, and I'm using that same code as well.
So you're calling those functions from DW term.
Right, just DW read and DW write, and that just literally reads and writes over whatever you can switch it in between. Can do bitbanger and RS-232 pack, and the one for the port for the emulators and all that. So you can just at compile time it'll communicate over all of them.
Awesome.
It's all built in. You just compile that into your program
and call it. So if someone wanted
to write the code on top of that's just literally communication over the serial port or over the if you're in an emulator the Becker port. That's just the communication part. The protocol part you have if you're using that routine you have to write it yourself. That's this is where Nitrous 9 comes in. It actually has all of the all of the modules that do all of the higher level protocol stuff.
Right.
Do you have any plans to support the 16550s like Ed Snyder's putting in his Mega Mini multi-pack? And
Yes, if you've seen my hollers towards Tormod's direction, that's what I'm going to send him. I did that earlier this year. I actually wrote the DriveWire modules, updated the DriveWire modules to do a 16550 on the Mega Mini MPI.
What kind of throughput are you getting on that?
It wasn't that I need to retest it. It wasn't that great, actually. There's a lot of overhead in DriveWire protocol. I had pulled up Boise has I don't know if you remember one of the old DriveWire pages back like 10 years ago or something. They had a table, everybody's favorite table thing that compared DriveWire to CoCoNet and some of the other things. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So I pulled that page back up out of the archive, and I'm gonna test it. But it was probably not as fast as the Bitbanger port.
Wow.
I don't think it was.
But you're doing that one interrupt driven, while the Bitbanger just basically hogs the whole CPU until you're done.
This isn't interrupt driven. The problem is that even though the serial port itself can communicate at like 921k baud, the CoCo can't. And even though the UART has a FIFO in it, you still really can't service it fast enough. So you need flow control. And the flow control is kind of bulky.
Is that hardware flow control you're using or software flow control?
Yeah, I have to use hardware flow control.
I'd have to take a look at Bruce Eisted's original DAC head drivers because I don't remember it being that bulky. I know we were doing 38 back in with no FIFO.
But DriveWire does have quite a bit of CPU overhead, especially if you're sending a lot of small things back and forth. There's a lot of code it has to call.
Okay.
Ed Snyder's demo code, where he said he got 70K or something like that, he's just literally talking directly to the UART. So there's a lot less overhead.
Okay.
This turned into a RS-232 talk.
No, that's cool. It's this general coding stuff since we hadn't heard from you. I'm glad we got a little bit of an update. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I would like this to go on, but my eyelids are not agreeing with me. So I appreciate this, and this was great just to get a gathering of the minds and the hearts and souls here and just talking about stuff. Sometimes it's just like anything else. Sometimes just talking about things makes them better.
Or incentivizes you to proceed with your own stuff.
Yeah. I really like what David Lord did with his version of my Aliens game. It's given me some ideas on different, and because I was already thinking about that too with Nick Marentes talking about how he's got attack patterns, and I've never gone as far to figure out attack patterns. Everything I've always done has just been based on a random number generator. Go left, go right, go up, go down. There has never been a pattern. What I saw from David Lord, it is a little bit more patternized. I'm gonna have to pick his brain on what he did, and if I have to do my own version of it. I kind of like that idea, and it's kind of like more like what Gunstar's doing too, because in Gunstar the enemies are at the top of the screen and they have a pattern and they're coming down towards you, right? So I kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I can't remember how many patterns he has. Is it 5 or 10 or something like that? But there's basically basic patterns they can do, but it's randomly picked which one it's going to use. And then he has a little bit of tracking. I think if the player's within a certain range or within sight or something, it'll actually will track him somewhat. If my understanding, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's part random and part pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I've got some ideas, and so yeah, you got to make some more progress, and I still got to get back to my plans on learning assembly too, because ultimately that's the ultimate goal. Basic is great. But when it comes to making games and getting speed and performance, assembly is the way to go. So hopefully I'll get more back into that. Very, very cool. All right, guys. Thank you, David Ladd, for being here. James Diffendafford, Lord Dragon, John Lowry, Nick Marentes, Mark Bosley, Michael Furman, a.k.a. Mikey, L. Curtis Boyle, and Bryza has been here. We also had Rick Adams on earlier. We had Gary Neal on here. We had a handful of people. We got a lot of people in the live chat out there. Sean Ernst has been there. Scott Carter, Tom C., Alan Huffman, Terry Steggy, Explore VR. That's Ben Drakes, Mr. James Diffendaffer. Jerry Young was out there. Alan Huffman, Mikey Retro Innovations was out there in the live chat.
James
Jones, Mad Cat, Paul Fiscarelli, Dragon Bites. Tom C. You got Ghost Rider was out there. All kinds of people out there. So thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. Apparently, there's a market for this type of discussions, and we got people showing up to hear us babble about them. So we'll continue to do this on at least a weekly or semi-weekly basis. Mark Overholzer just jumped in saying, "Hey, what's the topic?" 6502. What it's good for. So it was a really brief topic. So
it makes good feet on the bottom of an MC10 to hold the fire.
All right, I'm going to press the button. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night. Hey,
good night, everyone.
All right, guys.
All right, we're pressing the button. Bye-bye now.
Bye.